subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
After a full 7 days of searching, they finally found the burning fruit hidden in a cave. At the same time, the news of Marine's transfer of power was spread all over the sea by Marine newspapers. For a time, the whole sea was shocked. All forces, except for some well-informed ones. For the first time, the other factions have truly seen Marine's current overall strength. As for the position of Marine Admiral, the whole sea knows that only those who have real strength of this level can sit in this position. And now, in addition to the well-known warring states, Garp and Zephyr, the appearance of the new 3 Admiral suddenly entered the eyes of all the forces. In particular, the 3 newly appointed admirals are all natural-type fruit powers. A super speed, 350's a super attack, a super control field. In team fights, if the cooperation is perfect, is simply a head harvester. For a while, many wild pirates began to hide at this time. The arrogant organizations also pressed their own violent temper. The Grand Line also entered a brief period of mild peace. As for New World, the 4 Emperor's pirates are still going their own way, and it is not affected by this matter. Of course, as soon as the new 3rd Admiral took office, he was directly sent to the New World branch to guard. As a result, the pirates of the New World could not return to the Grand Line at all during this period of time. And many Grand Line pirates are afraid to go to New World because of this. In the end, a large number of stranded pirates were all captured by the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral into impelled down. And EC and others who were far away in East Blue also learned about this through a newspaper sent by a lost newsbird. Looking at the information reported in the newspaper in his hand, EC couldn't help but smile. It seems, because of my own butterfly, this piece of sea has entered the peak period of the new era ahead of schedule. Next, it should be the emergence of the 7 warlords of the sea system. In the end, everything will be in the same state as the original. However, EC did not care about the next development of the world situation. After all, no matter how it develops, the world situation is still under the control of the world government. Don't think that pirates can exist because the world government can't kill pirates. Anyone who thinks like this is really naive. How could a force that has ruled the sea for 800 years be unable to eliminate some resistance forces? After all, if the world government wants to maintain its unique and supreme status, it will definitely need some outside help. And outside help, pirates is a best choice. With the threat of pirates, the world government can maintain its own rule. Therefore, for 800 years, the world government has been repeating this cycle. The reason why the world government in the original book seems so incompetent and aggrieved, except that he has become arrogant. The rest is because the protagonist is not the world government, but the Luffy who ate the so-called rubber fruit. Therefore, in the original work, the world government has always been weakened. However, no matter how weakened it is, Luffy in the original book has not shaken the foundation of world government at all. From this, we can see how powerful the world government is. And EC also has a very clear understanding of this. If the kingdom of Helios wants to develop, if it really reaches a certain bottleneck, the world government will never allow it. Therefore, EC want to hide everything in the kingdom of Helios. Besides, EC is also very interested in Marine. EC would really like to have Marine in his pocket, if he could. After all, having 1 Marine in the bag means adding several top-tier combat powers all at once. Then, after finding out what was behind the world government, the kingdom of Helios might directly destroy it. Although it is said that the Dragon Slayer will eventually become a dragon. However, this evil dragon, everyone wants to control it. EC is no exception. Taking back his thoughts, EC slowly put the newspaper on the table beside him. He was holding this burnt fruit that had been transformed into a noble phantasm. Without hesitation, EC ate it in 3 or 2 bites. Burning the fruit, don't look at the original performance so bad, but it is very powerful in itself. Flame, no matter in which world, is synonymous with powerful ability. After the strength has reached the current stage, after so many attempts, EC knew very well that if he wanted to go further, he could only break through his own strength limit again. Before the strength limit was broken, EC still had many opponents. If you want to maintain the security of the kingdom, then a weapon to deter the sea needs to be in your own hands. Like an ancient weapon, and EC has been on the road of creating ancient weapon. However, EC's ancient weapon is different from the three great ancient weapons on the sea. EC is an ancient weapon created by combining itself with the treasure of the king and the power of technology. Having said that, it is already obvious. A laser cannon crafted by Vinsmoke on his first trip to sea. Now, EC already has the strong fruit, the thunder fruit, and the burning fruit. Just need another magnetic fruit, lock fruit, explosion fruit, plus the fusion ability of King's treasure. Countless laser cannons are fused together under the supply of EC's own infinite physical strength. One after another, the attacks that destroy the sky and destroy the earth refer to where to hit. Laser cannons, electromagnetic cannons, incendiary cannons, sky cannons, railguns that time. EC can stand above the sky and say, the truth is within the range of the cannon. Counting the time, Vinsmoke should have built a lot of laser cannons now. However, EC did not go to receive it now, but waited until the agreed time. The Vinsmoke 1.0 family, from Judge to his son, have all been turned into noble phantasms of life. That said, the Vinsmoke family is already part of the kingdom. The reason why the Vinsmoke family has not been allowed to go to the kingdom is because EC wants to keep the Vinsmoke family on the surface, as they are. Secretly build laser cannons. After all, a Vinsmoke family that remains as it is on the surface would not have so many forces idle to investigate. If the Vinsmoke family joins the kingdom, then the spies in the kingdom will not be just a few. After eating the burning fruit, EC experimented with the power of fire in the palm of his hand. Then, at EC's orders, Dawn began to take off. Flying straight over the bottom of the sea, Uzumaki flew back to the normal sea area of East Blue. 172 Seven Warlords of the Sea system was born ahead of schedule 3 days later. After Marine's transfer of power, a statement from the world government shook the sea again. The birth of the Seven Warlords of the Sea system has plunged the entire sea into an extremely heated discussion. Legal pirate, these two rights alone made countless pirates jealous. In order to become one of the Seven Warlords of the Sea, countless pirates are gearing up here. At this time, for the Marines, the allied countries, and the common people, this system was born. It was a huge blow to Marines' prestige. The security of the allied countries has become even more anxious. For civilians, this impact is even more enormous. Pirates can be recognized by the world government, which is more like an incentive for those who do evil. It also means that more and more people will go out to sea as pirates and hate the sea. Boom! Grand Line, Naval Headquarters, Marineford. At this moment, in Fleet Admiral's office, a huge 22-sized punching hole appeared behind Sengoku. A huge explosion resounded throughout Marineford. However, the generals and soldiers of Naval Headquarters lowered their heads when they saw that it was Fleet Admiral's office. Meanwhile, inside Fleet Admiral's office, Staff Crane, Kizuru Palyasalino, Akainu, Sakazuki are all here. The three of them knew why Fleet Admiral was so angry. Everything was because of the summoning orders on the Warring States table at this time. Call for 7 Warlords of the Sea. Hawkeye Dracul Mihawk, Sand Crocodile, Storm Cohen Bartholomew Big Bear. The 3 call-up orders were also the reason why the 3 staff members of Crane came to Fleet Admiral's office. Damn it. 99, he punched heavily on the desk, and the Warring States period was also extremely angry. However, no matter how angry he was, Sengoku never called the 5 elders again to question him, because the call for the 5 elders has already been issued. This also shows that the will of the 5 elders has been unified. Sengoku knew that even if he asked about the things that had been decided 100% above, it would be useless. Sengoku, calm down. Seeing that Sengoku's angry expression gradually calmed down, Hikai said. Hearing this, Sengoku could only gently nod his head. In response, Tsuru glanced at Palsalino, who was indifferent, and Sakazuki, who was angry. Looking at Sengoku, whose fist hadn't left the table, He couldn't help but sigh. Things the people above have decided. No matter how angry you are, it's useless. Now, the most important thing is to finish this task first. 55. While speaking, Crane pointed to the 3 summoning orders on the table. Moreover, the appearance of legitimate pirates can also create conflicts among pirates. 5. After all, people are born jealous. 99. Especially the pirates. All kinds of negative emotions have been greatly expanded. So, just look for 7 mighty pirates. 35 in, these 7 pirates themselves and their own forces will be hostile to other pirates. In this way, the infighting between pirates and pirates can also greatly reduce Marines' casualties. After speaking, Crane quietly waited for the words of the 3 of the Warring States period. However, even Crane himself didn't quite believe what he just said. However, all this is indifferent. After all, it is just an excuse. Tsuru knew very well that Sengoku and Sakazuki just wanted an excuse. Aside, Paul Celino, wearing sunglasses, quietly glanced at Sengoku and Sakazuki. The corners of his mouth twisted involuntarily, and in an instant, the whole face instantly became extremely wretched. It's really terrifying. I didn't expect pirates to get into the 5 elders' eyes. If that's the case, then I'll choose this sand crocodile. I'm very interested in the rust fruit, which is also a natural type. Hearing this, Sakazuki set his sights on Mihawk's call-up order. However, after seeing Sakazuki's gaze, Tsuru spoke first. Leave Mihawk to me. Sakazuki, you should choose Bartholomew Big Bear. After speaking again, Crane picked up Bartholomew Bear's call-up order. Crane, who knows Sakazuki's temper, is very clear. If Sakazuki goes to Mihawk, there's a 100% chance that there will be a fight. Therefore, Crane, who knew the ability of Bartholomew Bear's meatball fruit, pushed Sakazuki directly to Bartholomew Bear's call-up. Seeing that the one he liked was taken away by the Crane, Sakazuki paused slightly and silently took the summoning order of Bartholomew Bear. For Cranes, Sakazuki is still very respectful. So, Sakazuki didn't say much about Crane's arrangement. Picking up Bartholomew Bear's summons, Sakazuki turned and left the Fleet Admiral office. Is Sakazuki going so soon? Seeing this scene, poor Celino suddenly crooked his mouth, wanderingly picked up Crocodile's summons. He also turned and left. In Fleet Admiral's office, Crane looked at Sengoku and said softly, "You've just become Marine Fleet Admiral, and there are things you have to learn to accept. You haven't achieved your ideals, Sengoku." More after speaking, the Crane also turned and left. In the office, Sengoku sighed softly. Although I had seen something similar to the 350 when I was empty. But after personal experience, it is a different feeling. This feeling, the Warring States did not like. However, there is no way to dislike it. What the 5 elders decide together, no one can change. Look at the plaque that reads, Kuin's Justice in the World. At this moment, the Warring States period felt so dazzling. Meanwhile, after leaving Fleet Admiral's office, Sakazuki, Paul Celino, and Tsuru all set off on the warship one after another. Add Marine's current power to the strength of the 3. But just a few days, above the sea, in Marine's own exclusive newspaper, then one after another, the news of Mihawk becoming the 7 warlords of the sea was published. For a time, the entire sea was turbulent again. Unexpectedly, the world government turned out to be real. Marine's actions were even quicker. In just a few days, 7 warlords of the sea were born. At the same time, above this sea, all people with the same idea are constantly gearing up. Whether it is the first half of the Grand Line or within the New World, there are pirates interested in the remaining 7 warlords of the sea locations. 173 Doflamingo's action. Jinbei's mission to see New World. At this moment, the Don Quixote pirates are sailing in the waters of the New World. Don Quixote Doflamingo was constantly checking the newspapers distributed by Marine gulls. Boiled, I didn't expect that the 5 immortals didn't arrange my position. Doflamingo shredded the Marine newspaper in his hand, and a few tic-tac-toe blue veins appeared on his forehead. It seems that they have forgotten my identity. Chatting. Aside, Toripole, who was running nose, saw this scene but shook his sticky snot. Hey, Dover, I said, is this 7 warlords of the sea really that important? Hearing this, the other family officials all looked at Doflamingo. Seeing this, Doflamingo laughed a few times. Stand up and look at the endless new world sea. He slowly stretched out his hands and made a hug. This position is still very useful for us. You know, we're not just pirates. The scale of the arms deal between the Grand Line and the Four Seas, as well as the New World, is getting bigger and bigger. 99, with this identity, we have this righteous identity. Just think how many of our trading locations have been destroyed by those annoying Marines these days. 99, these losses are huge. After listening to Doflamingo's words, the cadres on the ship also nodded their heads subconsciously. In this regard, Doflamingo's words are not finished yet. Also, I want to keep this kingdom safe after I get back my Don Quixote's Dressrosa. The position of 7 warlords of the sea is a very big help. Speaking of which, Doflamingo's glasses flashed a fiery glow in vain. At this moment, in Doflamingo's mind, a bold idea appeared in his mind. So, Dover, this position is so important to us. How are we going to get it? After listening to Doflamingo's words, Tory Bolton frowned and asked, 3 of the 7 positions have been confirmed. That said, there are only the last 4 spots left. 35 hearing this, Doflamingo laughed evilly. Boiled, I thought a wonderful note. Golden in the sky, sigh, sigh. Hearing the words gold in the sky, the cadres on the ship suddenly became quiet. Under the red soil continent at the junction of Grand Line and New World, 10,000 meters under the sea, the Fishmen Island. At this time, in the Ryugu Castle, Neptune and Odoheim were talking to Jinbei. Jinbei, I really want to trouble you this time. Looking at Jinbei in front of him, Neptune said with a serious face, I believe you have also paid attention to the nearest sea. The sea is now surging. The 4 emperors, the Marine, and now the Shichibukai. 5. The sea is getting more and more chaotic. Even if we are 10,000 meters deep in the sea, we can't stop those malicious guys. Hearing Neptune's words, Jinbei had a serious look on his face. However, Neptune's words did not stop, and he still said with a serious look, not long ago, Odoheim and I asked Shirley for a divination, and the situation was not optimistic. So, Odoheim decided to take the initiative to find the person she felt before. Hearing this, Jinbei's expression suddenly froze. Is the Prince of Helios Kingdom. Hearing Jinbei's words, both Neptune and Odoheim nodded slightly. A few years ago, Otoji felt the existence of EC. After that, it took a lot of time to find out that the giant ship was the one where EC was. However, because EC's whereabouts are uncertain and the security of Helios is too strict, Otoji and Neptune have never found a chance. Originally, I was thinking of waiting for EC to invite him when he passed by the Fishmen Island again. However, I can't wait for this to pass, and the current situation of the sea is unpredictable. Neptune and Odoheim also decided not to wait any longer. Odoheim will still continue her signature activities, but Odoheim also wants to find another way for her people. This is a pearl of perception that I spent a year making. At this moment, EG stepped forward and placed a shining pearl in Jinbei's hand. This pearl is a strange thing, and it records all the things I felt at that time. 35, if you meet that person again, this pearl will emit a strong light. With this pearl, you can see if what I have felt before is really the prince. As he took over this shining pearl, Jinbei assured with a serious expression, Please rest assured, His Majesty the King and the Princess, that I will definitely complete this mission. The whereabouts of that prince is uncertain, but he will surely be returning to his country. Point 39. I will wait in the waters near the kingdom of Helios until the prince. Hearing Jinbei's incomparably firm words, the chapter of King Neptune patted Jinbei's shoulder. It's really going to be hard on you, Jinbei. In response, Jinbei shook his head. Everything for the Fishmen Island. 39, just when the whole sea was surging. At this time, above the East Blue waters, EC had already left the dawn. Above the sky of East Blue, a bolt of lightning constantly shuttled through the sky. After leaving the desert island of Sixis, EC turned into lightning and headed towards the Windmill Village. I went to Windmill Village before to extract Luffy's devil fruit. However, because of the presence of the red-haired Shanks, Goodly, EC's plan was postponed. And now, the red-haired Shanks has returned to the New World. According to reports from the Kingdom Intelligence Department, Garp was stationed in Logtown. Now is the perfect time for EC to extract devil fruits. And EC didn't miss this opportunity, galloped all the way, and came straight to the sky above the Windmill Village. Above the sky, EC's observation Haki instantly covered down. However, under the perception of observation Haki, EC did not find Luffy's breath. Thinking of this, EC couldn't help but spread observation Haki towards the location of Mount Gorbo. If EC guessed correctly, Garp should have come back before. Then, Luffy was kept by Garp inside Gobble Mountain. After all, in the original, Luffy was thrown to Mount Gorbo by Garp later. There he also met Ace and Sabo and became three brothers. 174. Extracting rubber fruits. The Konom Islands were attacked by sea beasts. The observation Haki continued to spread, and soon, EC's observation Haki completely covered the entire Gorbo Mountain area. Immediately afterwards, under the attention of God's perspective, EC easily saw the three brothers bathing in a mountain stream. Oh, it's been so close. It looks like it's already married. 35 with a whisper. EC's figure instantly turned into lightning and flew towards that place. In an instant, EC appeared above this stream. With a slight wave of his right hand, a large amount of thunder crashed down from the sky into the stream. Zizizi. The thunderous chirping sounded. In an instant, the entire stream was filled with a lot of thunder. The strong thunder fell, and the three brothers in the middle of the stream couldn't react at all. Countless thunder and lightning densely wrapped their bodies. In a short period of time, Ace and Sabo were electrocuted into a coma. As for Luffy, he was a little stronger by relying on the particularity of the rubber fruit, but it only lasted for a few more seconds, and in the end, he still lay beside Ace and Sabo with his eyes rolled. Immediately after 350 confirmed that all three of them were electrocuted, EC's figure landed directly over the stream from the sky. He waved his hand gently, and immediately, three lightning whips that had completely compressed their strength instantly bound the three of them. Then, the lightning whip stretched, and Luffy, Ace, and Sabo were brought from the stream to the shore. Looking down at the three brothers who had passed out unconscious, EC thought. In an instant, a noble phantasm embryo flew out of the air ripples and flew straight into Luffy's body. A few minutes later, a golden fruit emerged from Luffy's body. Seeing this, EC grabbed it in the palm of his hand. Just when I was about to check the information about this devil fruit, a shout came from not far away. Ace Luffy, with a flip of his hand, the devil fruit was included in the king's treasure. Glancing at the three unconscious brothers again, EC turned into a lightning bolt and disappeared in place. For the three Luffy brothers, EC originally wanted to transform them into his own noble phantasm. After all, among the three people, one is the protagonist and two are important supporting roles. However, after thought for a while, EC gave up the idea. After all, since he came to this world, he is the protagonist of this world. The thunder and lightning pierced through the sky, passed through Gobbo Mountain, then through the Windmill Village, and finally flew straight towards the location of the dawn. East blue, waters off the Konom Islands. The huge and gorgeous dawn was sailing in the sea at this time. On the deck, everyone was singing and dancing leisurely at this time. The sound of the violin mixed with the singing made the dawn full of laughter and laughter. However, after a little deeper into the waters of the Konom Islands, the laughter and laughter on the dawn stopped abruptly. The surging waves all around made the whole ship jolted. Not only that, under the boat of Dawn, a huge sea beast was constantly hitting the bottom of the boat. The sea beast is like an enlarged version of a giant bull. At this moment, it is constantly hitting the Dawn with its two big horns. Fortunately, The dawn has been transformed into a noble phantasm by EC. Otherwise, the dawn would have been smashed long ago. On the boat, Shao hurriedly controlled Dawn to leave the sea and fly into the sky at the moment the sea beast giant attacked. Mu, seeing that he wanted to hit the ship and fly high into the sky, the sea beast giant roared. On the boat, the Jinhao squads have already gathered at the edge of the boat. Not only that, Monet, Robin, Koshiro-kuna, Zoro, and Lina have all come here. Yo hee hee, it seems that we are really careless. 35 Brook held his cane and sword, and his face with a completely expressionless skeleton was clearly carrying murderous intent at this time. Seeing the giant sea beasts leaping up below, the Jinhao team and others put their hands on their sabers one after another. Then, for interrupting our banquet, let's let it pay the price. Dawn Song, Aurora Burst. 35 Idao Lu Fu Foam. 1 knife, flowing water. 1 blade, flow magic ice. 35 Idao Lu Jinhong. 1 knife, flow light. 55 one-shot flow. In an instant at the moment when Brook made an attack. The 10 members of the Jinhao team also slashed a brilliant slash at the same time. In an instant, 11 huge slashes of different colors came at an extremely fast speed. It was an attack from a peak swordsman, but it was not something that a mere sea beast giant could resist. You know, even Koshiro had a solemn expression on his face after the swordsman team attacked. It can be seen that the strength of the consumption team should not be underestimated. Moo! The terrified cry made many people on the dawn immersed in the gorgeous attack come back to their senses. Everyone looked down and saw that, above the sea, a huge sea beast and giant cow screamed. 11 extremely slender cracks appeared in the whole sea beast in an instant. The crack became bigger, and the sea beast turned into pieces and fell into the sea. A large amount of blood emerged, and in an instant, the nearby sea was dipped in bright red. Zizizi at the same time, a thunder pierced through the sky. Above the bow of the dawn, EC's figure appeared in everyone's eyes when the lightning disappeared. Glancing at the sea stained red by donated blood, EC happened to see the face of the giant manatee. Immediately, EC's brows were slightly raised, and he didn't expect that the manatee Mu in the original book would die like this. His eyes glanced around slightly, and soon, EC judged the general situation. Your Highness, 39 at this time, after seeing EC's figure. On the deck of the Dawn, everyone hurriedly saluted EC. It doesn't matter. 35 waving his hand, EC smiled lightly. Okay. Let the Dawn sail to Cocoa West Village. 35 This sea beast has a master. Also, it's a pirate group's pet. That being the case, if you see it, just kill it. Hearing this, the others on the boat also nodded slightly. For EC's practice, even if EC doesn't do it himself, Brook and others will do it later. After all, in the eyes of Brook and others, to offend Dawn is to offend His Royal Highness the Kingdom and Prince. And the price of offense, only death can be forgiven. Not to mention, this is a pirate group's pet. Killing a pirate easily is something that everyone is happy to do. 175 Marine in Cocoa West Village, Konom Islands. At this time, the entire Cocoa West Village was under the invasion of a Fishman pirate group. And this Fishman pirate group is the evil dragon pirate group in the original book. Scareha! What a weak human being, holding a large saw blade. The evil dragon was standing in the center of the village, laughing wantonly. The face of an ugly fish showed a crazy and presumptuous look at this time. Beside the evil dragon, the officials of several pirate groups were also constantly laughing loudly. Watching his murlocs continue to brutally kill the villagers of Kokoyashi Village, the evil dragon and the others have no idea of stopping them at all. This is the end of the money. Scare watching the Kokoyashitsune villagers being slaughtered by their Murloc brothers. The dragon's whole body fell into an extremely excited color. Now it's your turn. Pay the money. If you don't pay, you will die. Scare Look at the wild dragon and the fish people who come up around. At this moment, the last group of people in Kokoyashi village couldn't help shivering. In the crowd, a woman with long dark red hair was holding her two trembling children. No, we're not going to be killed, are we? In Bellem Ree's arms, a little girl with orange hair was shivering. The other little girl with blue hair asked in a low voice while holding Bellem Ree. Hearing this, Bellem Ree was nervous, but still quietly comforted the two little ones in his arms. No Kigo Nami, don't worry, I will definitely protect you. Reaching out to touch Bailey in his pocket, Bellem Ree's eyes flashed with determination. As a bottom marine, Bellem Ree's financial situation has always been in a tight state. Not to mention, Bellem Ree was in a poor state after picking up Nachigeo and Nami. If it weren't for an orange grove, I'm afraid Bellem Ree would have gone begging long ago. However, now it has been invaded by a fishman pirate group. In the pocket, there is only 100,000 Bailey's protection fee. There was no way to protect Bellem Ree, Nachigeo, and Nami. Therefore, Bellem Ree just wanted to seize the opportunity to seize the leading dragon. As a former Marine, Bellem Ree must have a self-defense weapon. Therefore, Bellem Ree is waiting for an opportunity at this time. Scare haha. Next, you line up obediently and start paying. When he came to the younger brother who was collecting the money, the dragon couldn't help laughing a few times. As the villagers began to hand over protection fees, one after another under the threat of the pirates, the dragon and the younger brother who received the money were also getting closer and closer to Bellem Ree's location. Looking at the pirates getting closer and closer, Bellem Ree's hand quietly touched his waist. There, a gun retired with Bellem Ree was inserted there. What Bellem Ree didn't know was that all her movements were seen by a man with a pinwheel in his hat. Immediately, this man had a worried look on his face, and this person was the patrolman of Kokoyashi Village in the original book, Ajien. Bellem Ree, don't do stupid things. 35, muttering to himself. Ajien's eyes were fixed on Bellem Ree's direction. It's a pity that Bellem Ree couldn't hear Ajien's voice. As the dragon got closer, Bellem Ree's heart beat faster and faster. Finally, the dragon came to Bellem Ree completely undefended in front of one big and two small. Suddenly, Bellem Ree stood up at a lightning-fast speed. A spear was also drawn from Bellem Ree's waist and placed straight on the dragon's head. Pirate, don't move. Bullets don't have eyes. 35, watching Bellem Ree's movements. The surroundings became slightly quiet for a while. Bellem Ree, great, as expected of a retired Marine, before waiting for the villagers' secret excitement. A sneer came from the dragon's mouth. Scared ha ha ha. I didn't expect that among you. There is still a hidden thought Marine. However, you don't think a broken gun can threaten me. I am the Supreme Murloc. Swipe as a voice sounded all around, except for those Murlocs, showed a horrified expression. I saw it in the shocked eyes of everyone. The dragon turned and bit Bellem Ree's gun. Before Bellem Ree could press the trigger, a click sounded. 4 flowers, 0. The gun in Bellem Ree's hand snapped in half in an instant. Boom! The big saw blade slapped horizontally and slammed on Bellem Ree's waist. With the sound of a dull blow, Bellem Ree was seen flying upside down. Drink! 99 in the direction that Bellem Ree flew backwards. The leader of the pirates, Kruby, punched Bellem Ree again. Puff with a mouthful of blood spurting out, Bellem Ree's body flew back upside down again, smashing heavily in front of the dragon. Bellem Ree! Bellem Ree! With the heart-piercing exclamations of Nuakigo and Nami. The villagers of Kokoyashi Village finally reacted. Unfortunately, before they could act, the Murlocs of the pirates took out their weapons and threatened them. For a while, all the villagers dared not act rashly. Scare, haha, this is the supreme power of Murlocs, inferior humans. Click with a safety sound, the dragon pulled out a pistol from his waist. Now, where's the protection money? If the protection fee is not enough, your family will die. Hearing this, Bellem Ree took out all the savings from his pocket, 100,000 Baileys. The 100,000 Bailey is the protection fee for the 2 little girls. When he said this, Bellem Ree's face was calm. She knew that she would definitely die, not only because she had no money, but more because she resisted. Even if it was for Li Wei, he would definitely die here. Scare haha. It turned out to be a poor ghost. If that's the case, then you're going to die. Looking at Bel-Em-Re in front of him, the dragon suddenly laughed. At the same time, the index finger holding the pistol is slightly bent on the trigger. This scene made Nuakigo and Nami on the side immediately horrified. Don't. Lo, do not. Boom, the gunshots sounded, and in an instant, Nuakigo and Nami only felt as if the sky had fallen. Zizizi. At this moment, a flash of lightning fell instantly in the clear sky. Boom! With a loud bang between Bel-Em-Re and the dragon, a deep pit appeared here in an instant. 176. Arrive at Coco West Village and destroy the evil dragon pirates. What happened? Looking at the deep pit between himself and Bel-Em-Re, the dragon's face suddenly turned ugly. Is it really such a coincidence that there is a thunder in the clear sky? Damn it! I don't believe that you can still be protected by lightning. 35. The ugly dragon looked at Bel-Em-Re with a sinister look. The pistol in his hand pulled the trigger again without hesitation. Bang, bang, bang. With 3 shots in a row, the dragon shot all the bullets in the gun directly. At this time, after seeing the dragon shoot again, the people who were already happy suddenly became nervous again. Zizizi. With the sound of electric current, a thunderbolt fell from the sky again. It's really bold. You dare to do it. With a voice sounded. In everyone's stunned eyes, EC's figure appeared in everyone's eyes. 350 looked at EC's figure, and at this moment, in Nami's eyes, he seemed so tall. Who are you? Looking at EC, the dragon suddenly became nervous. If he didn't know that the thunderbolt was a devil fruit ability, he would be in vain from the Grand Line. Whoosh whoosh, the dragon asked, but EC ignored it. At this moment, a sound of wind rang out. Soon, the 11 members of the swordsman squad spread their wings and hovered in midair. At the same time, the huge and gorgeous dawn quietly appeared above the sky. That ship is... That's right, absolutely right. 99. His Royal Highness the Prince of Helios. 99. This. Why did he come here? No, where's Mu? Why did Mu tell us? It's over, according to legend. This highness is completely ruthless to pirates. Such a conspicuous dawn in Kokoyashi village. Both the fishman pirates and the villagers quickly recognized it. After all, EC is a celebrity big and small above the sea. First behead the legendary pirate Golden Lion, and then fight the new 4 emperors, the red-haired Shanks. Finally, there is the mighty kingdom of Helios and Kixi, the patron saint of the kingdom. One after another, people above the sea clearly realize the power of EC. Strong background. Damn, we are Murlocs. How dare you attack us? 35. Looking at the squad of swordsmen surrounded by them. The big saw blade in the evil dragon's hand also trembled slightly. His own aura became much weaker unconsciously. Aren't you afraid of being attacked when the coating passes through the Fishman Island? Hearing the dragon's threat, EC couldn't help shaking his head gently. An idiot who can't see the situation clearly. EC has no interest in talking to him. This little fishman, can't you see that our ship can fly? Brook fell slowly, tilting his skull head towards the dragon. Ah, there's a ghost. Seeing Brook, Nami, who was naturally afraid of ghosts, suddenly screamed loudly. Hearing Nami's voice, Brook twisted his skull head. This, beautiful little girl, hello, I'm not a bad person aside, Bel-Em-Re, who had already taken the lead in recovering his mind, hurriedly hugged Nami. Sorry, it's the first time a child sees it. Hearing this, Brook's explosive head tilted up. Yo hee, I understand. 99 call out. Be careful. Just as Brook turned his head to speak, a murderous look flashed across the dragon's face. The big saw blade in his hand slashed towards Brook's skull head instantly. Seeing this scene, Bel-Em-Re was shocked and exclaimed. In response, Brook turned his head back unhurriedly. He looked at the big saw blade that was about to cut off his own skull head in the distance. A black light flashed by. In an instant, the originally pale skeleton head was instantly covered with a layer of armed Haki. The entire head instantly turned into a black skull. Clang! A crisp crash sounded. Zizizi, a wisp of sparks came, and when as they slid across the big saw and Brooke's skeleton head. Armed color. Haki. At this moment, Evil Dragon's face suddenly became extremely ugly. As a Murloc from the Fishman Island, although he doesn't know how to use the two-color Haki dragon, he still knows it. After all, the Evil Dragon had been with Tiger anyway. TSK, you little salted fish, you actually attacked me, a 10-year-old old skeleton. It's really not about martial arts. After blocking the slash of the big saw, Brooke's skeleton face suddenly showed disgust. Clang! The cane sword gleamed. Unplugging and plugging in are just a matter of moments. And the dragon in front of Brooke was cut in half from the beginning to the end under the watchful eyes of the public. Elder Dragon, not good. Run away. 35, scared the baby to death. Someone, murder, on the side. EC looked at the two villagers who were screaming, and black lines could not help but appear on their foreheads. What's going on? Killed a Murloc. Were these two screaming? Puff beside EC, Robin covered his mouth and smiled. It seems that the two men must have been overly nervous. 35 hearing this, Monet on the left also nodded lightly to show his approval. Really? SHH. After Brooke made his move, the members of the swordsman squad instantly pulled out their saber and killed. For a time, a large number of Fishman pirates were killed here by members of the swordsman squad. Meanwhile, under EC's gaze, it was discovered that Kuina and Zoro had secretly met a Murloc minion. In the process of fighting, the two also continued to grow at an extremely fast speed. After a brief look at it, EC stopped following it. After all, by the side of the two, Koshiro has been standing there to protect the 1.0 for the two. Sugoi. Nuakigo, look, those people can fly. Wow. Those two people seem to be about the same age as us. Actually, I was able to fight against pirates in Bel-Emre's arms. Nami watched the battle in the village and was shocked. On the side, Nua Kigeo, who was pulling the corner of Bel-Emre's shirt, also nodded dumbly. Yeah, they're all amazing. If only I could be like those two. I can protect Bel-Emre. Hearing this, Bel-Emre reached out and wiped the tears from the corners of Nua Kigo and Nami's eyes. He wrapped the two little ones in his arms with both hands. No Kigo Nami, Bel-Emre. For a while, the three of them could not help but fall into a state of great joy and great sorrow. 177 Bonfire Banquet in Cocoa West Village after 10 minutes. The battle in Cocoa West Village came to an abrupt end. All the Murloc pirates of the Evil Dragon pirates died at the hands of Brooke and others. Even the octopus Hachi who saved Rayleigh in the original book was hacked to death by Arthas. Even though it would be against Pluton Rayleigh, EC had no worries. After all, his current strength is not what it used to be. Besides, EC and Rayleigh didn't have much friendship. That is, I met and traded in Sabeti Archipelago before. Overall, Rayleigh said that EC was more of a stranger. If Rayleigh wants revenge for Octopus Hachi, don't blame EC for disrespecting the old and loving the young. In fact, in the original work, EC found it very strange. Octopus Little 8, as a cadre of the Evil Dragon pirates, could be said to be helping the tyrants. Such a pirate became a good friend in the Sabeti Archipelago encounter after being beaten by Luffy. At that time, when EC was watching this scene from 22 to 22, he was really speechless. Not to mention that Octopus Hachi is a pirate, and he has bullied Koko Yashi Village together with the dragon. It's just that in the original book, Luffy didn't kill the Fishman pirate, but was very confused. Aren't you afraid of those Murloc pirates making a comeback? Moreover, in the original book, the people of the Dragon Pirates killed Bel-Emre and bullied Koko Yashi Village for so many years. Doesn't Nami have no hatred at all? Even in the later stories, he became friends with Octopus Hachi. EC was very puzzled about this. Fortunately, EC watched One Piece more than just curious about the magical settings and abilities of devil fruits. The rest is like watching big wavy beauties and those content that gives benefits. As for the plot, EC only knows a rough idea. That is, EC will be a little more serious as long as there are new fruits and big wavy beauties. Many thanks to His Royal Highness Prince and all of you for saving your life. After everything was settled down, no sigh, the village chief of Kokoyashi Village, brought the village policeman Jian over to thank EC and others. In response, EC just waved his hand gently and said, "It's just a coincidence. We were attacked by a sea beast near here. So, come over after killing that sea beast. I happened to meet this incident and cleaned up this pirate group." Although EC said it very lightly, the people of Kokoyashi village were still grateful. In any case, being rescued by EC at all is an indisputable fact. In addition, the people of Kokoyashi village are simple and honest. So after dealing with the evil dragon pirates, Kokoyashi village and other villages that have been robbed by dragons gathered together to start a feast. Celebrate yourself and the surrounding villages from being ruled by the dragon pirates. Night. A super large open space near Kokoyashi village seemed extremely lively. The villagers from several nearby villages and Kokoyashi village all sang and danced here. The sound of drinking, guessing, laughter, the happy sound of the rest of the life. Everyone, under the bonfires, released their terrified emotions to their heart's content. On the dawn, everyone also participated in this grand bonfire banquet at this time. Brooke even organized some music lovers to hold a small concert. EC sat in a bright place where the bonfire shone and slowly tasted the barbecue that he had not eaten for a long time. At this time, even Monet and Robin were taken away by some female villagers to have fun. Brother EC, just as EC was leisurely eating barbecue. At this moment, a crisp voice sounded from behind EC. At the same time, a smaller figure was lying on EC's shoulder when the voice fell. Under the light of the bonfire, the orange hair was slightly golden. "Nami, why did you come to me if you didn't go to play?" With one hand, Nami was hugged from behind and into his arms. EC couldn't help but smile. Nami's age is 1 or 2 years younger than EC's, and because of some difficulties in life, her body is much smaller and thinner than EC's. Therefore, EC can hold Nami in his arms with one hand. Sitting on EC's lap, even the open-minded Nami's face flushed slightly. However, thinking of the purpose of his coming here, Nami raised his head and looked at EC. "Brother EC, I also want to be as strong as you. Look, that elder sister and that green algae head are about the same size as me, but they are amazing. I've seen it with my own eyes. They each defeated a Murloc pirate." Hearing this, EC smiled lightly and pinched Nami's cheek. "That's because those two people started cultivating since childhood. It took a lot of sweat to make them have the strength they are now. If Nami wants to practice, it's not impossible, but practice is very tiring. I just don't know if you can persevere." Hearing EC's words, Nami nodded his head seriously. "Brother EC, Nami can definitely keep going." In this regard, EC did not continue to say anything but changed the subject and talked about other things. "Nami, what do you want you to do when you grow up?" Hearing this, Nami tilted his head and thought for a while and replied, "I want to draw 350 out of the world map. 99. In this way, the uncles and aunts in the village will not get lost when they go to sea." 5. EC touched Nami's head upon hearing this. "I didn't expect Nami to have such a big dream." Then, if Nami wants to realize this dream, it will take hard work. Learning sailing knowledge and exercising one's own strength are the two most important things. 35. As he spoke, EC's hand also appeared like a magic trick. "Then this is for you. Follow the above to cultivate, and you will definitely become stronger. When you grow up, if you want to draw a map of the world, but you find yourself lacking in strength, you can come to the Kingdom of Helios to find me. I like Nami's dream too." Taking the noble phantasm manual handed over by EC, Nami nodded his head heavily. "I'll definitely go find brother EC." Although Nami is small, he also knows that the world is big. There is absolutely no way to rely on yourself alone. So, brother EC, you must wait for me. When Nami grows up, go to brother EC. Not just trying to draw a map of the world. Nami would also like to thank brother EC for saving his life today. 178 Meet Garp. The battle that started as soon as we disagreed, listening to Nami's words. EC just smiled lightly and didn't say much. Although EC also wanted to take Nami away. After all, Nami grew up with a bumpy front and back. However, Issei couldn't just let Nami leave because of his own selfish desires, although it is said that it is also possible to take Nokigo and Bel-Emri away together. However, looking at the three people's feelings for the village, they knew that this was impossible. Reality is not a novel. Not everyone can abandon the place they have lived for a long time and live in a place they are not familiar with. The bonfire banquet continued. This evening, Issei kept whispering in Nami. By the way, he also told Nami some of the experiences he had encountered during his voyages in the past few years. And Nami, who yearned for the sea, was completely immersed in what Issei said. Therefore, wait until the end of the bonfire banquet. Bel-Emri discovered that his daughter had fallen asleep in Issei's arms. Sorry about that. He gently hugged Nami away from Issei's arms, and Bel-Emri also looked embarrassed. In response, Issei shook his head gently and said, "It's okay, besides, Nami is still cute. Okay, the banquet is over, take her back." Hearing this, Bel-Emri looked down at Nami, who was asleep, and smiled softly. "If that's the case, then we'll go back first." After thanking Issei again, Bel-Emri hugged Nami and left. Beside Bel-Emri, Nuwa Kigeo grabbed the corner of Bel-Emri's clothes and left together. Early morning. In the boundless blue ocean, the sun shines on the sea, like a layer of shimmering broken silver sprinkled on the water, like crumpled green satin. The waves wash the rocks, and the only snow-white spray of the sand, like naughty children licking the smooth sand greedily. It slowly retreated again, like a shy girl gently pulling the long skirt that was mopping the floor. With the gentle ups and downs of the waves, everyone on the Dawn gradually became active on the boat. After the bonfire banquet last night, everyone returned to the boat to rest. Lifting up from Robin's fluffy balls, Issei got dressed while Monet waited on him. 9 o'clock in the morning, the Dawn set sail, and this time, Issei planned to leave East Blue directly. Everything East Blue has to do has been done, and the next step is to go straight to the Grand Line. After the last few events of the Grand Line last night, Issei planned to return directly to the kingdom. As for the trip to South Blue, Issei has no plans to go. After all, there is no other place to attract Issei except for the magnetic fruit and Roger's saber in South Blue. Therefore, Issei intends to go directly back to the kingdom to personally preside over the development of the kingdom. As for South Blue's things, he can directly call his subordinates for a visit. As the Dawn departs, the coast of Cocoa West Village. I do not know when. The villagers have all stopped here to watch. Bel-Emri, when I grow up, I must go to the kingdom of Helios. Looking at the Dawn, which was gradually sailing away, Nami said with a very serious expression while pulling Bel-Emri's clothes. Hearing this, Bel-Emri smiled lightly and reached out to touch Nami's little head. If you want to go to the Grand Line, you need strength. 95. I know your dream is to draw a nautical map of the world. However, all of this is based on strength. In this chaotic sea, you can meet all kinds of dangerous elements such as pirates, gangsters, and black businessmen at any time. 39. I won't stop you from pursuing your dreams, but before you reach adulthood, you still have to listen to me and cultivate well. 5. Nami did not speak when he heard Bel-Emri's words, but there was a very serious look on his little face. Leaving the village of Cocoa West, Dawn sailed all the way in the direction of Upside Down Mountain. Half a day later, Issei, who was enjoying the massage service of Monet and Robin, suddenly felt something. With a light whimper, the whole person instantly sat up from the reclining chair. "Your Highness!" Seeing this, Monet and Robin couldn't help but have some doubts. The moment when Issei's observation Haki goes out. In an instant, Issei's eyes narrowed slightly. "Fisk, it's really bad luck to meet that old man." Hearing this, Monet and Robin looked at each other, and both of them subconsciously let go of their observation Haki. Soon, observation Haki of the two women felt that a huge warship was speeding towards Dawn. And at the bow of this warship, there is a dog's head with a bone in its mouth. At the bow, a tall, broad-chested, muscular old man stood upright. The iconic dog head hat can clearly show the identity of the old man. Marine Hero, Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, one of the Marine Iron Triangle, Monkey D. Garp. This is Marine Hero, Iron Fist Garp. 35, listening to the voices of the two women, EC gently waved his hand. It seems that this old man is coming for us. 39, TSK, it should be because of the windmill village. 99, under EC's signal, Dawn gradually stopped. The warship not far away is also slowly reducing its speed. When the warship stopped before Dawn, EC was absolutely sure that Garp was coming for him. Hey kid, do you know who I am? Standing on the bow of the dog-headed warship, Garp dropped his hat. Looking at the Dawn in front of him, a huge voice roared out in an instant. Pat standing on the bow of Dawn, EC glanced at Garp not far away. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly, and he said speechlessly, "Why don't you go to the red-haired shanks to go to me?" Aha! 35, after hearing EC's words, Garp burst into laughter. Looks like you know that I'm looking for you, because I'm looking for you. Although you and the red-haired brat left soon after the fight. However, it is an indisputable fact that Windmill Village has already suffered losses. 95, so this old man wants to tell you, don't pay attention to the Windmill Village if it's all right. Good lees. After listening to Garp's words, EC's mouth twitched slightly. Oh, could it be that Mr. Garp is trying to limit my freedom? Hearing this, before Garp could speak, Kazan, who was standing beside Garp and remained silent, said quickly, "Ahem, brother EC, that's not what we meant. It's just that Mr. Garp is a little worried about Windmill Village." Seeing this, EC shook his head slightly. "No matter what, I'm going there. That's my freedom. And your warships are blocking the front of the Dawn now. That is a provocation to the kingdom of Helios. So, while this is easy." Having said this, the thunder in EC's hands began to gather. No matter what, if you're provoked, you need to counterattack. This is the purpose of the kingdom of Helios. Boom! A thunderclap. I saw that a purple thunder column formed instantly. Then, without saying a word, he went straight to attack the warship. 179. The contest of physical skills, tyrannical and fierce melee combat. What a crazy brat. With a roar, Garp's right fist instantly wrapped the tyrannical armed Haki. Then, as soon as the footsteps are stepped, moonwalk will be displayed. With the sound of bang, 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 Garp's figure rose directly into the sky. Boom! A legitimate punch hit the thunder column. With a loud bang, the sky in the nearby sea instantly turned into a purple area. Is at the sound of the flashing arc, so that everyone on the sea can easily perceive the power of this thunder area. It's nerve-wracking. On the warship, Kazan also muttered. Then, with a blast of ice, it blasted towards the sea. In an instant, the entire sea area completely turned into a thick ice continent. Pat one after the other. Garp and EC both landed on Kazan's specially made ice. Little devil, the old man wants to show you what the iron fist of love is today. 35 in response. EC smiled lightly and moved his body slightly. Twisting his neck, the blood in EC's body began to boil gradually. Speaking of which, I've never fought close quarters before. Hearing this, Garp's eyes narrowed slightly. After a few seconds, the figures of Garp and EC disappeared instantly. Immediately afterwards, the entire ice continent began to vibrate, and the reason for the vibrating was precisely because of the battle between EC and Garp. The top-level armed color Haki, with an extremely tyrannical body, all show the powerful physique of the two. Boom! The center of the ice continent. EC's right fist hit Garp's blocking arm with full force. The armed color Haki between the two is extremely deep, and a heavy breath continues to permeate. Garp looked at EC, who was deadlocked with him. The mouth began to open gradually, and the whole person began to get excited. "I can't believe that your physical skills and two-color Haki are so powerful, you perverted brat. Thank you, old man, for your compliment." EC stared into Garp's eyes, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. However, the battle must continue. "Ha! Of course we have to continue. The old man has not been so enthusiastic for a long time." Garp laughed a few times and pushed EC away violently. Then the figure jumped back and stood 10 meters away from EC. He stretched out his hand and tugged his marine coat and threw it in the distance, then undid the buttons on his marine coat, revealing his strong and scarred chest. Moving his wrist, Garp said to EC, "Come, have a hottest battle with this old man. Fight to the flesh. I haven't seen it in a long time. 39, as you wish." EC looked at Garp. Garp also looked at EC, and the surroundings gradually became quiet. But the air is getting more and more anxious, more and more suffocating. EC didn't break out his own Conqueror's Haki, though. However, the pressure on himself and the will to fight from Garp were constantly entangled in the air. At the same time, everyone on the warship and Dawn couldn't help showing seriousness. On the sea, in the distance, Monkey D, Dragon, who happened to pass by, was hiding his figure and watching this scene from a distance. Speaking of which, it was also a coincidence that the ships of the Revolutionary Army were sailing not far away, and Long came to check after feeling the movement here. Unexpectedly, his own father would fight with the Prince of Helios Kingdom, who took Koshiro away. In this regard, the dragon is also careful to hide his figure, quietly watching this battle. I didn't expect to encounter this battle. Call the sea breeze blue, and Garp and EC rushed toward each other. Bang, 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 bang. At this time, the two had completely entered a state of battle, and each move was full of murderous aura. EC slashed Garp's neck with a hand knife that contained the power of thunder, but was blocked by his arm color. Garp also seized this opportunity and knocked EC out with a knee. Then his figure flashed, and he quickly followed up and continued to attack EC. In the end, EC was still inexperienced in combat, and Kba put himself at a disadvantage. Boom! A heavy leg whip hits EC. Although he reached out his arm in time to block it, he was still kicked out by Garp's leg whip. Boom! A huge deep pit was revealed under EC. Ice shards flying all over the place. Exhaled, EC wiped the bloodline from the corner of his mouth, stood up, and stared at Garp. Sure enough, my combat experience is still somewhat lacking. 9. When Garp heard EC's words, he snorted softly. The old man is the experience accumulated from fighting for decades. 55, indeed. 35 with a murmur. EC stomped the ground in the pit and sprinted towards Garp. However, isn't it a good opportunity now? Bang, bang, bang. A storm of leg whips lashed at Garp, covering the thighs of Haki's highly accomplished armed color. Garp still didn't change his face. Boom, boom, boom. An explosion-like sound resounded on the ice continent. I saw that under EC's leg whip, the power that did not attack Garp formed large pits one after another on the ice continent. Boom, the last leg whip was blocked by Garp's arms covered in the ultimate weapon color Haki. And this force was also transmitted from Garp to the ground under his feet. A deep crater about 1,000 meters deep and wide appeared in the center of the ice continent. The ice cubes and debris were shaken into powder and fluttered in the air. Pat, pat. Garp resisted the pressure from EC's legs and slowly pulled his legs out of the ground. Little brat, I'm going to use Marine's physical skills. Don't die. I haven't had such a good fight for a long time. As soon as Garp finished speaking, he stomped the ground and left EC with a swoosh. Marine body skills? EC stared at Garp in front of him and said to himself, "However, how much you look down on me. That's why you thought I would be beaten to death by you." Looking up at Garp on the top of the pit, EC's arms covered with Haki's arms slowly formed arcs around him. At this time, Kazan on the warship indeed showed a look of distress. Don't look at how fiercely EC fought Garp, but where they stood was always maintained by Kazan. Originally, Kazan thought that the battle between the two would not be troublesome, but knew that the fight between EC and Garp could be so intense. Basically, it's not a test. It is directly overdone into the fierce battle situation. In this regard, Kazan can only continue to maintain the existence of the ice continent. 180, the continent of ice shatters. Both sides stop whoosh. Suddenly, a wind sounded. I saw Garp disappear in front of EC in an instant. After Garp left, the ice beneath his feet instantly collapsed into a deep hole. And this time, in EC's observation Haki, an image instantly appeared in EC's mind. The picture disappeared, and EC subconsciously tilted his head to the left. Hum! A loud humming sound resounded in his ears. Garp's fist flew straight past EC's ear. predict future. Seeing this scene, Garp's face suddenly condensed slightly. The previous battle hadn't been discovered, but now, Garp discovered a special case of EC's observation Haki. Looks like you found out. Turning his head to look at Garp beside him, EC's figure moved instantly. The right foot jerked up and a knee hit Garp hard. Immediately after, the pillar of thunder that had been condensed with both hands slammed into the direction of Garp flying backwards. Boom! For this thunder attack, after Garp stood up straight, he directly relied on the tyrannical armament Haki to annihilate the thunder. At this time, a crackling sound sounded. On EC's body, bolts of lightning continued to jump around him. In just an instant, Garp's observation Haki sensed the changes in EC's body. Under the stimulation of the thunder, the cells in EC's body instantly became more active. The surging of his own breath also became faster at this moment. How the figure flashed, and with the afterimage still in place, EC's figure had already arrived in front of Garp. A powerful straight punch, carrying the dazzling light of thunder, slammed towards Garp heavily. In response, Garp's expression remained unchanged, and he was completely covered with armament Haki. The whole person turned into a very dark Haki person at this moment. Boom! Double fist fight. The super strong fist wind blew the people around so that they couldn't open their eyes. Countless pieces of ice cubes flew in all directions at this moment. In response, Kazan raised a huge ice wall in front of the warship while maintaining the strength of the ice continent. The dawn is completely wrapped in a transparent cloud made by Pian Shao. The people on board were completely unhindered by these ice fragments. At this moment, in the center of the ice continent, a green slashing wave rushed out among the countless pieces of ice. Immediately afterwards, a slashing wave entwined with the power of thunder and lightning rushed in the opposite direction. Boom! The two Tempest Kicks air slashing attacks collided hard. Under everyone's eyes, only a loud bang was heard. Huge cracks began to appear in the entire ice continent. All of a sudden, the sweat on Kazan's forehead slowly began to show. The ability to use is not the same as the ability to maintain continuously. The ability to use is more of a one-time use, just like making a continent of ice. However, in addition to consuming physical strength, maintaining ability must continuously improve one's concentration. After all, EC's battle with Garp was too intense. As a result, the ice continent is always in a state of being broken. And Kuzan is also constantly consuming physical strength to repair the ice continent. In this way, Kazan needs to concentrate his mind, and that's why Kazan feels so tired. SHHH. Next, EC's battle with Garp will occasionally send out a lot of air slashing waves. A wave of air slashing waves continuously shot out in all directions. The Garp Adjutant Bogard on the warship and the Swordsman Squad on the Dawn were constantly blocking the slashing waves flying in these two directions. Therefore, it is not a joke to watch the Strong fight, and you will be under the aftermath of the Strong if you are not careful. On the distant sea, Long watched the increasingly fierce battle, and the whole person fell into a state of excitement. At this moment, in the dragon's mind, there is only one thought. It would be great if the kingdom of Helios could be drawn into the revolutionary army. This idea has always been there since the dragon knew that the kingdom of Helios was a non-joined country. After reading the newspaper of Kixi fighting Mihawk, it was even more lingering in Long's mind. And now, after seeing EC, the prince, and Garp fighting to such an extent, Long's thought made him unable to hold back. Touching the mark on his cheek, the dragon looked at Garp's position. In the end, he still forcibly held back his thoughts. I will definitely invite you once. Even if the result is unsatisfactory, I want to try it again. After whispering twice, Long took another look at the fierce battlefield. Zero. As for Flower Zero, finally, a whirlwind wrapped around the dragon's figure. Then the whole person instantly turned into a whirlwind and flew away. The ships of the Revolutionary Army cannot stay in one place for too long. After all, the world government has been following the traces of the Revolutionary Army. Although I really want to watch this battle, I'm the leader of the Revolutionary Army. Long knew very well that he couldn't have a little bit of self-will. Therefore, the dragon can only choose to leave here. And at this time on the continent of ice, the battle between EC and Garp intensified. Marine Six Styles is in Garp's hands. Extending skills, secret skills. One by one, Garp is constantly showing up. EC, on the other hand, relies on the stimulation of Thunderfruit to enter a state of cell activation. Powerful thunder and lightning wrap around the body to attack and defend. In the state of Thunder Wrap, EC has extremely fast movement speed and powerful injury-free ability, plus the top armament Haki and the observation Haki that can predict the future and the ability to grow strong fruits. At this moment, EC is more like a warrior than Garp. Moreover, he is also a Blood Bowl warrior with high attack, high defense, and high endurance. Boom! Clash of fists. Garp looked at EC in front of him, and the corners of his eyes twitched. EC's hardness made Garp feel a little pain in his fist. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly, his body shook, and Garp instantly shook EC's body away. It's hard, Brad. Hearing this, EC smiled lightly. Fortunately, I will continue to work hard. 35 hearing this, Garp's mouth twitched slightly. Then, the two kicked the ice under their feet in an unusually tacit agreement. All the strength of the whole body is concentrated on their fists. In the end, the two fists slammed together. Boom! A sound like a nuclear bomb exploded, accompanied by a mushroom cloud that contains a lot of ice chips. The entire ice continent instantly shattered into pieces with the two at the center. And Kuzan was also shaken by this force, and the frozen aura in his hand could not last. The ice continent shattered and sank, and the figures of Garp and EC returned to their ships. In the case that the winner could not be determined in a short time, the two chose to strike three in a tacit understanding. 181. The so-called Will of Joy boy. The curiosity about the fruit of Nika, Mr. Garp. Are you all right? Although he knew that his idol would be safe, Kuzan still asked with some concern. How could something happen to me? Hearing Kuzan's words, Garp couldn't help rubbing the back of his head and laughing loudly. I'm Garp the Fist. Watching the huge and gorgeous Dawn fly straight away, Garp also ordered to the navigators on the warship after laughing. Okay, it's been quite a while at East Blue. Even before Kuzan's promotion was not involved, Sengoku was urging us. Return, go straight back to the Grand Line. With Garp's order, the warship began to sail in the direction of the Grand Line. Aside, Kuzan said to Garp, Mr. Garp, when you go back to Windmill Village again, 780? After all, after returning to Naval headquarters this time, there won't be much vacation left. Hearing this, Garp laughed and replied, Vacation? What is that? Isn't it something you want to have? Hearing Garp's words, Kuzan couldn't help but startled slightly. Then, there was a hint of helplessness on his face. Kuzan didn't say much about this. After all, this kind of thing is not something his junior can participate in. On the other side, after EC returned, Dawn broke through the ice and flew straight into the sky. Afterwards, Dawn continued to fly in the direction of Upside Down Mountain. On the deck, EC sat on an armchair. In his hand, he was holding the rubber fruit extracted from Luffy earlier. However, at this moment, this rubber fruit looks very strange. Originally, it has been completely transformed into a treasure, and the whole has turned into a golden fruit. At this moment, there are really black lines running continuously on Devil Fruit's body. Under the induction of EC, the wisps of black lines seem to have their own will. Your Highness, this is... Looking at this strange scene, Monet and Robin were both curious. In this situation, the two women have never seen before. Hearing this, EC smiled lightly and said, This devil fruit is very special. There's a real will of awakening in it, and the strands of black lines are the embodiment of that will now. This devil fruit has been transformed into a noble phantasm by me. 35, so the will that resides in the fruit is no longer able to stay. Now, it's still thinking of going back to boarding again. After hearing EC's words, Monet and Robin were both slightly taken aback. Neither of the two girls thought that devil fruit would be so special. At this time, EC focused his attention on this devil fruit after a simple explanation. Joey Boy's will. With a murmur in his heart, EC couldn't help but sound the legendary figure Joy Boy. Joey Boy, in the original book, is a person who existed in the Void Century period. In the depths of the sea forest of the Fishmen Island, there was a promise to the mermaid princess who was also Poseidon at that time. However, when the agreement could not be fulfilled, he could only leave an apology for his inability to fulfill the agreement with the Fishmen Island. It can be seen that Joy Boy is someone who can read and use ancient scripts. Guess is one of those who made Noah or was able to fix Noah. There are not many places where Joey Boy is mentioned in the original book, and there are only so many occasions. Once was the location of the apology in the depths of the forest of the sea on the Fishmen Island. Once, Roger, the pirate king, in the final island of Raftel, once sighed that it would be nice if he and Joey Boy were born in the same era. Once, after Kaido defeated Luffy for the second time, he said something to Luffy. Looks like you can't be Joey Boy either. Once at the end of chapter 1043, the Elephant Master said to Momonosuke, Joey Boy, he's back. Together, there are only 4 mentions of Joy Boy. It can be seen that in the original book, the situation about Joey Boy is actually unclear, and EC is actually not interested in Joey Boy. Not to mention, the so-called Joey Boys, well, who knows whether it will affect the existence of his own will. What EC is interested in is that this one is a rubber fruit on the surface, but it is actually a devil fruit in the form of Zoan, Rinrin fruit, mythical beast, and Nika. Nika, the legendary warrior, the first rubber fruit capable person, Lunaria 0. 800 years ago, he was honored as Nika, the sun god, for his liberation of enslaved people and the establishment of a huge kingdom. In the 1044th chapter of the comic, Luffy is the form of Nika, the original name of rubber fruit, the phantom beast, and the form of Nika. Luffy in Nika form is covered with smoke clouds. His hair is flaming, his clothes and hair are white, and his eyebrows are thickened. Nika's awakening ceremony has 4 elves singing around, and Luffy calls the awakening form 5th gear. This devil fruit, the only one EC knew, was the devil fruit named after the person died. Even the original Paramecia rubber fruit has been changed into Zoan and Eudemons. EC was very curious about this kind of change. If you can understand the changes, does it mean that those who are capable in your kingdom can transform all their devil fruits into Eudemons? And this is also the reason why EC deliberately extracted devil fruit from Luffy's body. Looking at devil fruit gradually wrapped in black lines on his hand, EC waved his hand gently. Immediately, a noble phantasm embryo emerged from the air ripples. In an instant, the noble phantasm embryo was directly integrated into this devil fruit. Invisibly, with the noble phantasm embryo reintegrated into this devil fruit. Invisibly, EC, Monet, and Robin all seemed to hear the slightest screams. I really want to hear the sound of 0.3. Monet's head turned around, a little puzzled. Screams. In this regard, Robin also nodded, indicating that he heard it too. Hearing this, EC knew it well, but he didn't explain it too much. Soon, after the noble phantasm embryo reintegrated, the black lines on devil fruit completely disappeared. Seeing this, EC grabbed devil fruit casually. In an instant, a black solid ball appeared in front of the 3 of them. His eyes narrowed slightly, and the powerful thunder in his palm exploded instantly, accompanied by bursts of sizzling sounds. Soon, the black solid sphere in the palm completely disappeared. During the whole process, there was no screaming or the like. 182. Passing by Alabasta, walking along 2 historical texts after handling Joy Boy's will, EC put the Nika fruit in his hand into the treasure of the king. EC was not interested in the so-called Joey Boy's will, so he destroyed it directly. As for the Nika fruit, EC is going to bring it back to the kingdom for research by the Scientific Research Department. A devil fruit from Paramecia can be transformed into a Zoan Phantom Beast because of one person. This point, EC is still very concerned about. After all, Even the Phantom Beasts have no other abilities. However, it has a strong basic ability in itself. Resilience, vitality, defense, physical strength, and even physical fitness will be greatly improved. Therefore, EC did not intend to eat this Nika fruit or to give it to others. Rather, it should be used as a research item for the research department. After planning the processing direction of this devil fruit, EC returned to his lazy state. Next, after taking away the historical text of Alabasta and dealing with the news agency, EC will directly return to China. With the major changes in the sea, EC will also start to fully develop and open the Kingdom of King Zero for therefore. EC can only choose to give up his trip to South Blue and New World. Dawn one Luffy row, flying at a constant speed all the way without any obstruction. 3 days later, Dawn flew over Upside Down Mountain and flew over Alabasta. Alabasta appeared in 2 historical texts. The first piece is in a cave that Luffy, Zoro, and Chopper dropped. The cave is the remains of an ancient building with a piece of historical text inside. The second piece is in the hall of the royal tomb of Vivi's family. Sandin Island is the island where Alabasta is located. Sandin Island is a desert island with a large area, but because it is a desert island, the overall climate is very hot. In Alabasta, the capital of Sandin Island, is located in Albana, and the kingdom has a standing army of 600,000. The royal family is the Nefertali family. The current king is Nefertali Cobra, and the current queen is Nefertali Vivi, who appeared in the original book. It is worth mentioning that the Nefertali family is one of the 20 royal families who created the world government 800 years ago. However, the Nefertali family at the time refused to move to the Holy Land, Mariewa. Later, the Nefertali family has always ruled Alabasta. Therefore, there will be a historical text stone tablet in the royal tomb of Alabasta. As for the other piece hidden in the ancient building, it should have been lost by the Nefertali family. Brook. Dawn stayed over Alabasta. EC stood on the bow and looked at the desert island below and called out to Brook. Hearing this, Brook hurried forward a few steps. Your Highness. After bowing to EC, Brook quietly waited for EC's orders. After following EC for so long, Brook is no longer what the original book looks like. Aside from the occasional indecentness, Brook is very serious most of the time, especially when facing EC. Brook is extremely serious. You take your people and go to the desert area of Alabasta to find a cave, or let's check if there is anything wrong in the desert. If there's something wrong, check for a covered cave. After finding it, see if there is a historical text stone tablet. If there is, contact me immediately. After listening to EC's order, Brook quickly left with all the members of the swordsman squad. On the other hand, EC left the Dawn in the form of thunder after instructing everyone else to stand by here. Alabasta sky, because of wind and desert. Above the sky has always been some sandstorms constantly flying. Layers of wind and sand flew across the sky, obscuring most people's sight of the white clouds. At this time, a flash of lightning traveled through the sky, and because of the sandstorm, no one found it at all. At this time, Crocodile was still perfecting his Pluton plan. So, EC's observation, Haki didn't find any trace of Crocodile at all. But EC didn't really care about that either. The reason why EC thinks of Crocodile is because of the Baroque Work Club in the original work. After all, the entire Baroque Work Club plus Crocodile itself had a lot of devil fruit. In addition, there are still 2 or 3 talents in the Baroque Work Club, so EC still thinks about conquering them at that time. However, the fact that the Baroque Work Society has not yet acted in Alabasta means that Crocodile has not yet started. Zazizi, Albana, the capital of Alabasta, where the royal family lived. And here is also the goal of EC's visit this time. Although it is a bit inappropriate as a prince to secretly follow other people's treasures. However, as long as God knows what he knows, that's fine. After all, sometimes a hint of self-deception can be useful. It's a big deal. If something happens to Alabasta in the future, I can just help myself. EC is not a saint either, so he can't just look at his physique improving and still beg for a deal. On the positive side, it will only be exposed, so it is better to go along in secret. In a corner of Albana, a small lightning silently landed inside the palace. Afterwards, the lightning galloped all the way, sneaking all the way towards the royal tomb perceived by EC observation Haki. Not long after, he entered the royal tomb underground in a corner of the palace. Immediately afterwards, EC's figure appeared in front of a square stone tablet. Looking at the historical text stone tablet in front of him, EC waved his hand and directly included it into the treasure of the king. After receiving the historical text stone tablet, EC left the palace without any nostalgia, and then turned into lightning and left Albana again. From beginning to end, no one in the entire palace found any trace of EC's visit. At the same time, on the other side, the members of the swordsman squad are also constantly searching for the location of desert caves and strange sands. Finally, after EC returned to Dawn, the swordsman squad soon returned good news. An ancient site of Sephiroth was discovered, along with a historical text stele. In response, Akatsuki controlled the Dawn to fly towards the location of the swordsman squad. Not long after, they saw everyone in the Jinhao team. At this time, on the ground and sky of this cave, there are members of the swordsman squad. The purpose is to prevent someone from sneaking in. 183 Physical Evolution Strength rises again. Newsbird leads the way when EC entered this site. He immediately saw the historical text stone tablet placed in the most conspicuous position. In this regard, after EC directly put this historical text stele into the treasure of the king, he also entered the treasure space of the king. Before, there were 18 historical text steles in the pagoda stone stele, and now 2 historical text steles have been harvested again. It means that the historical text stele has reached the level of 20 pieces. In other words, EC's physique can evolve again. EC was overjoyed at this. Therefore, after putting away this historical text stone tablet, EC also entered the treasure of the king. As soon as he entered the treasure of the king, EC couldn't wait to integrate this historical text stone tablet into the pagoda stone tablet. With the integration of historical text steles, the pagoda steles also began to glow with golden light. At the same time, EC's body also began to show a trace of warmth. The bones, muscles, blood, etc. of the whole body are constantly shaking. Straws of translucent stains flowed out of the pores. With the changes in his body, EC can clearly perceive that his body is undergoing an amazing transformation. The strength of the body, the strength of the internal organs, the sound of the blood flowing a trace, a thread, the whole body is sublimating in the tremor. Finally, when a movement of the pagoda stone tablet completely stopped, EC's own changes have also been slowly completed. The body trembled slightly, and the stains that emerged from itself were directly shaken away. Reach out and squeeze slightly. Crackling all of a sudden, a blast of air resounded like an electric arc. Just a light grip has such strength, which shows how powerful EC's physique is today. At this moment, if someone is standing beside EC, while this person can definitely feel the fierceness that EC exudes. The imposing manner of the beast staring at its prey makes people who are weaker than EC feel the invisible danger. Now, I should be regarded as the most powerful group in the pirate world. Feeling the power flowing in his body, EC is trying his best to adapt. In order to prevent his own power from leaking out, EC is constantly adapting to his own power. While familiar with his new physique, EC generated his own attribute panel in front of his eyes. The King's Treasure Personal Information King, Helios EC Combat Strength, SSS Plus Physical, SSS Plus Absolute Defense, Overspeed Self-Healing, Abilities, Extreme God Yujianyu, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, Top 2 Color Haki, Thunder Fruit, Strong Fruit, Maramara Fruit. Looking at his attribute panel, EC also showed an excited smile on his face. Except that Conqueror's Haki is just a bit of an eyesore at the advanced level. Other abilities have now reached the top level. Even if it is Devil Fruit ability, EC will develop it in daily life. Now, they have been developed to the top level, and the next step is the Awaken class. Even a Maramara Fruit, which has been obtained for the shortest time, has been developed to this stage. Devil Fruit for a strong person, can easily develop to a very high level. Especially EC, a person with various memories of previous life and tyrannical strength in this life, for ability development is more handy. Afterwards, EC continued to look at the summary of the situation in the King's Treasure. The King's Treasure Small World, Inner World, Golden Ocean, Cloud Continent, White Cloud Sea, Noble Phantasm Stars, Sea, Land and Air Animals and Plants, Sky Island Shells, Omniscient Tree, Regrowing, Strange Noble Phantasm, Operating Table in Op Fruit, Dawn Shao, Yin Yin Fruit, Crown Island Shi, Munch Munch Fruit, Devour Repair, Expand Area, Enhance Volume, Synthesize Rare Minerals, Golden Bell, Hour, Barrier Fruit, Magic Sword Spirit, 7-Star Sword, Kick C, Combat Strength SSS Plus Level, Lion Fruit, Transfer Fruit, Advanced Conqueror's Haki, Extreme God Yujin Lu, 1000 plus Kendo School Swordsmanship, Dragon Slaying Sword Intent, 10 times True Damage, Other Treasures, Devil Fruit Curse X42, Historical Text Stone Tablet X20, Pagoda Stone Tablet, Golden Bell, 9-layer gold base, Tree Trunk Room, O'Hara History Book, Fruit Noble Phantasm, Large and Small Fruit, Rubber Fruit, used to study the reason for the transformation from Paramecia to Phantom Beast. The changes within the King's Treasure are not great. However, EC didn't expect Kixie to move so fast. Before that, people were sent to collect information on the powerful swordsmen of East Blue and South Blue. I didn't expect it to be so long, and more than 300 Kendo schools were added all at once. Afterwards, EC closed the property panel again after carefully observing it. After becoming acquainted with the power of his own growth in the King's Treasure, EC left the King's Treasure directly. Returning to the dawn, EC smiled lightly at Robin, who was very moved, and directly included it in the treasure of the king. Although now Robin is no longer so obsessed with the content of the historical text stone tablet, but after all, it is what she and the scholars who died on O'Hara Island have been searching for. Therefore, after EC collected the new historical text steels, Robin would observe and record them. In this regard, EC, who knew this, put Robin into the treasure of the king after he came out. Lying on the reclining chair, EC thought about the next plan while enjoying Monet's massage. The news bird that was transformed into a noble phantasm by EC has just been recalled by EC. After so many days, this news bird also arrived at Chun, where the headquarters of the World Economic News Agency, Awakeni, is located. Speaking of which, this is also because EC didn't think of it himself. It took so many days for this news bird to know where the news agency's headquarters was. This news bird, in the final analysis, was captured by EC in East Blue and transformed into a noble phantasm. Before becoming a noble phantasm, this news bird had only been delivering and selling newspapers in East Blue. Don't think that the World Economic News Agency has only one headquarters to have such creatures as newsbirds. Above the sea, whether it is the 4 seas in the south, east, north, and west, or the Grand Line, there are branches of news agencies. Between branches, newspapers are generally delivered and sold in the area they are responsible for. That noble phantasmized newsbird was one of the ones in charge of the East Blue area before. Then, after this newsbird was transformed into a noble phantasm by EC, in order to complete EC's mission, he started the promotion mode all the way. 184 headquarters of World Economic News Agency, in order to complete EC's mission. This newsbird started desperately after leaving that day, on the bumpy road to promotion of a newsbird, since that newsbird left EC's side. That same day, the newsbird returned to the East Blue News Agency's branch. Then, in order to be able to go to the Grand Line, this newsbird can be said to directly enter the workaholic mode. Daily newspaper is the most sold newspaper in the whole East Blue every time. As a result, after a while, a newsbird sent to East Blue from the Grand Line News Agency for an inspection quickly noticed the industrious newsbird. P.S. Because the newsbird after the noble phantasm becomes golden, it is renamed Xiaojin here to distinguish it. After the inspecting newsbird noticed Xiaojin, they followed Xiaojin secretly for several days. Soon, the inspecting news bird found that Xiao Jin was not only industrious, but also strong and invincible. So, on a dark and windy night, the inspecting news bird directly overcame Xiao Jin by virtue of his own identity. Originally, Xiao Jin would rather die than give in, but after thinking of EC's order, in the end, with the idea of who would go to hell if I don't go to hell, Xiao Jin reluctantly agreed. Afterwards, Xiao Jin began to work as a cow and a horse during the day and plow the fields and cut grass at night. Whenever he was exhausted, Xiao Jin always remembered EC's orders to it. For this reason, relying on this spiritual will, Xiao Jin forced the inspecting news bird to feel extremely satisfied and happy. Immediately after that, when the inspected news bird arrived at the inspection deadline, Xiao Jin was brought back to the Grand Line by this inspecting news bird. When I came to the Grand Line, Xiao Jin originally thought that he had come to the headquarters of the news agency. Who knows? This is also a branch, but this branch has the authority to control the branch of the Four Seas news agency. Therefore, every once in a while, news birds will be sent to the Four Seas for inspections. Although he knew that he did not come to the headquarters of the news agency, Xiao Jin soon regained his fighting spirit again. According to his own experience selling newspapers in East Blue, after getting familiar with the various places of the Grand Line, Xiao Jin started the hard work again. Be a cow and a horse during the day, and mow the fields at night. In a short period of time, Xiao Jin became a well-known model worker in the branch of the Grand Line news agency. Xiao Jin's fame even has considerable popularity among the news agencies in the world. For the headquarters of the news agency, it is more like this kind of model worker. Therefore, after a period of time, the news agency headquarters finally dispatched a news bird for assessment. After this majestic assessment news bird came to the Grand Line news agency branch, he assessed Xiao Jin alone. No one, and no news bird, knew exactly how to assess it. All news reporters and news birds only know that after Xiao Jin spent a few days with this majestic assessment news bird, the whole bird turned into a walk with his but on his head. Many news birds saw this scene and simply thought that Xiao Jin was so proud because he passed the assessment. No news bird knew how much Xiao Jin paid to pass the assessment. Walking with your butt upside down is to prevent other news birds from finding out that their chrysanthemums are different. For this, Xiao Jin was very careful not to make sound. It's just that whenever it's quiet at night, Xiao Jin will hold his chrysanthemum belly and cry. Finally, after Xiao Jin sold chrysanthemums for a few days, the assessment news bird was slightly satisfied. Finally, after Xiao Jin's hard work, selling chrysanthemums and hard work, the emperor paid off. Xiao Jin finally came to the headquarters of the news agency. He even received a personal award from the president, Morgans. Afterwards, Xiao Jin started his lurking in the news agency headquarters, on the reclining chair. After EC called back the newsbird Xiao Jin, he learned everything in Xiao Jin's unpleasant rattling. For this reason, EC couldn't help but reach out and touch Xiao Jin's feathers after listening to it all. The tone was very solemn and said to Xiao Jin, "Xiao Jin, don't worry. I didn't expect your sacrifice to be so great. Don't worry. When I take over the news agency, I will make you avenge." Hearing this, Xiao Jin was instantly shocked. The whole bird could not help but flap its wings and quack in front of EC. As Xiao Jin's rattling continued to sound, wisps of doubt appeared on EC's face. Finally, when Xiao Jin's voice stopped, EC couldn't help sighing. "I didn't expect you to be such a bird. You want to press the inspection bird, and then let the test bird press you. TSK, are you playing so wild?" While speaking, EC let go of Xiao Jin without leaving a trace. He even picked up a towel on the side and couldn't help wiping the place where Xiao Jin had just been. God, seeing EC's actions, Xiao Jin tilted his head in confusion. In response, EC coughed lightly, slowly put down the towel, and said with a normal expression, "Nothing, just saw some dust on my wrist sleeves." After speaking, EC ignored Xiao Jin's thoughts and spoke directly to Xiao, who was beside him. "Xiao, go down with Xiao Jin and fly towards the headquarters of the news agency." Hearing this, Xiao nodded, grabbed Xiao Jin's body, and jumped away. EC continued to wipe his wrists and sleeves after one child and one bird left. Aside, Monet asked EC curiously when he saw this scene. "Your Highness, is this place dirty?" Taking a serious look, Monet didn't find anything dirty. In response, EC's movements paused slightly, and he said, "Well, it's my psychological problem. Accurately speaking, psychological cleanliness." Hearing EC's words, Monet was slightly stunned. However, although he was curious in his heart, Monet didn't see EC's intention to continue, so he didn't ask any more questions. A day later, under the full force of Dawn's flight. Soon, led by the newsbird Xiaojin, Dawn came to an extremely remote sea area on the Grand Line. There are no islands in this remote sea area. Flying in the sky, you can't see any creatures like fish at all. A luffy line. Soon, Dawn, led by Xiaojin, plunged into the place where Calm Belt was. Not long after entering the Calm Belt, an island full of newsbirds appeared in front of EC and others. Quack quack, fluttering his wings. Xiaojin flew in front of EC and kept pointing at the island below with his own wings. 185 easy to use Conqueror's Haki, forced to subdue Morgans as the huge, ornate Dawn reached the top of the island. Everyone at the headquarters of the World Economic News Agency was shocked by Dawn. Oh, a loud siren kept ringing. The sound of the siren spread throughout the island of the news agency headquarters and even reached the sky. What happened? On the island of the news agency's headquarters, Morgans, who was planning big news in the president's office, hurried out after hearing the siren. However, before anyone could answer, Morgans found out what was going on outside. "This is the prince's car of the kingdom of Helios." The muttering sounded, and Morgan's pupils shrank suddenly, because just as he was standing at the window looking at the sky outside, suddenly, a sharp gaze met Morgan's. However, it was not long before Morgans organized his own men. On top of Dawn, the swordsman team flew out of Dawn in an instant. 11 people flew in different directions and completely brought the entire island under their surveillance. At the same time, one after another, huge slashes slashed out from the hands of everyone in the Jinhao team. Where the slash passed, a large number of forest trees were cut off. One after another, deep sword marks were engraved on the edge of the island. Not long after, an irregular circular isolation belt appeared in front of everyone. At the same time, on top of the Dawn, the newsbirds in the sky wanted to fly away. Suddenly, an aura full of majesty and domineering erupted. The powerful momentum swept away, stunning all the newsbirds. A large number of newsbirds landed on the island from the sky. At first glance, it was like watching bird rain. Zizizi, the sound of the ark is heard, in the perspective of Morgans et al. A flash of lightning flashed across the Dawn in an instant. Immediately afterwards, Morgans, who was by the window, took a few steps back. In the horrified eyes of countless news reporters around, EC's figure appeared by the window along with Thunder's voice. Sitting on the windowsill, EC wiggled his feet and smiled to Morgans. "Nice to meet you." President of the World Economic News Agency, Big News Morgans. At this moment, Morgan shuddered as he looked at EC, who was sitting smiling at him. P.S. Morgans, there's another name called Morgans, but this book is directly called Morgans. EC sat on the windowsill. Looking at Morgans in front of him, his eyes couldn't help but flicker. Morgans, one of the emperors of the underworld. The president of the World Economic News Agency. The main business is to inquire about various news and then publish newspapers, nicknamed Big News. It is Zoan, bird fruit, common species, albatross formability. Morgans can't fly, although they are albatross fruit capable. According to the information in the original work, EC can clearly know the character of the news agency president. Very interested in big news, always thinking about how to make the big news in front of the world public. Even willing to risk his life to shoot footage for the news. Sometimes they exaggerate facts or even fabricate news according to their own subjective wishes or in order to attract people's attention. He also claims to be a miser, but he won't charge black money to report things he doesn't want to report. Do not like others to control their reports. The content of a newspaper must be decided by themselves. In general, This is a person who is afraid that the world will not be in chaos. Looking at EC, who smiled and looked at himself without saying a word after saying a word. The feathers on Morgan's entire body were slightly raised at this time. The powerful Conqueror's Haki loomed around Morgan's. Taking a deep breath, Morgan's managed to suppress his horror before pretending to be calm. I don't know why the prince came to my news agency. On the surface, Morgan's is very calm and humble. After all, EC's strength is obvious to all. In fact, Morgan's was constantly cursing in secret at this time, not knowing who exposed the headquarters of the news agency. EC replied with a slight smile to Morgan's words. I'm here for what I want to do, and you must know very well. Leaping lightly and jumping off the ledge, EC slowly came to Morgan's. Reaching out, he tapped Morgan's shoulder lightly. First of all, you reported on me before and announced the affairs of me and the kingdom I am in to the sea. Zero. As for Flower Zero, I don't like this very much. Secondly, I'm curious about the ubiquitous reporters at the World Economic News Agency. After all, this is a very powerful intelligence tool. In the end, I personally think it would be better if the news agency was in my hands. 99 looking at Morgan's wildly fluctuating eyes, EC continued to speak without any pause. Don't think about resistance, because you don't have the capital to resist. As soon as the voice fell, EC's Conqueror's Haki burst out. The tyrannical momentum stunned everyone and the news bird around. The whole island is shrouded in EC's Conqueror's Haki in the next moment. Dong 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 bang bang bang. One news agency member after another collapsed to the ground in a coma after being hit by Conqueror's Haki. The nearest Morgans and EC suffered the strongest Conqueror's Haki impact from EC. Almost instantly, Morgans rolled his eyes and fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth. Looking at the situation around him, EC waved his hand gently. Suddenly, circles of golden ripples continued to spread from the air. In an instant, golden ripples spread to the entire island. With the appearance of the golden ripples, all the reporters and news birds have been included in the treasure of the king wherever the golden ripples have passed. At the same time, countless noble phantasm embryos broke open the golden ocean and merged with these reporters and news birds. And Morgans, who was taken care of by EC, was received into the treasure of the king by EC early and began to force the fusion of noble phantasm embryos. For the news agency's reign, EC never intended to use other methods from the beginning to the end. After discovering the faithful transformation of noble phantasm of life, EC is more and more fond of directly transforming other people into noble phantasm of life. Therefore, from the very beginning, EC directly intended to use force to force the news agency to be subdued. Information and intelligence are always indispensable to a power. For this, EC's perception is very clear. Therefore, EC will develop the Kingdom Intelligence Department. It even got the attention of the World Economic News Agency. 186 Morgan's idea time passed slowly. When all the people in the King's treasure have been transformed, EC then re-released Morgan's and others with a large number of newsbirds. Standing in the outside world again, Morgan's eyes were very complicated. Morgan's has fully felt the change in himself. There were thousands of thoughts in his heart, and finally Morgan's sighed softly. Morgan's have seen His Royal Highness. With a salute to EC, Morgan's finally surrendered. After all, after being transformed into the noble phantasm of life, it will gradually become more and more loyal to EC over time. Although he will not lose his personality, his attitude towards EC is a change from the heart. After realizing this, Morgan's also knew very well that even if he died, the entire 793 department of the news agency had been transformed. As long as the news of his death is concealed, the World Economic News Agency will still stand. Even more likely, it is further expanded because of the support of EC. That being said, Morgan's isn't really a dead man. So, after much deliberation, Morgan's finally chose to surrender. EC nodded slightly to Morgan's surrender. You can figure it out. Don't worry. In the future, except for the news of the kingdom and me, you can report on the other news on the sea as you want. You don't have to worry about the news agency's headquarters leaking out. I believe that with your intelligence network, you should also know what the devil fruit of Kixi, the guardian of the kingdom, is. Hearing this, Morgan's eyes lit up. Of course, he knew exactly what devil fruit, the patron saint of Helios Kingdom Kixi, was. That is the devil fruit of the legendary great pirate golden lion Shiki lion fruit. If Kixi can use the lion fruit ability to make the news agency headquarters island fly into the sky, basically, the headquarters of the news agency can be guaranteed to be really safe. Seeing Morgan's expression, EC also nodded slightly. Looks like you've thought about it. That's right. As long as Kixi uses lion fruit's ability to raise the news agency's headquarters island into the sky, his safety is basically guaranteed. And if you're still worried, the news agency's headquarters island can be moved to the Calm Belt where the Kingdom of Helios is located. There, even if the news agency headquarters is really attacked, the kingdom can provide quick support. So, in the future news, you can report it as you want. 35 after hearing EC's words, Morgans was extremely happy. At this moment, Morgans also realized that even surrendering to EC's feet wouldn't be a bad thing. Except for some news, other news can be reported at will. Moreover, there is no need to worry about the safety of themselves and the headquarters of the news agency. Thinking of this, the thorn in Morgan's heart slowly began to melt away. A smile soon appeared on a bird's face. Morgans licked his face for the first 2 steps, turning his eyes and turning into a dog-headed sergeant. His Royal Highness, it is our blessing that the news agency is in the hands of His Royal Highness. 35. With His Royal Highness, the news agency's development will surely grow step by step in the future. Please rest assured, Your Highness, the information network of the news agency will definitely satisfy His Highness. First, I complimented EC and explained the situation of the news agency. Then Morgans rolled his eyes and continued. By the way, Your Highness, I have a small suggestion here. I don't know if I can say it. Hearing this, EC narrowed his eyes slightly, glanced at Morgans, and said with a light smile, Let's hear it. Hearing this, Morgan's eyes instantly lit up. His Royal Highness, above this sea, there are several people who have the same status as me. Each of them is a leader in a field. If His Royal Highness can subdue them, I believe this will make the kingdom stronger. Among them, if His Highness can subdue the Queen of the Pleasure District, Stussy, it will be of considerable benefit. Stussy, according to the intelligence network of the news agency, can fully confirm that she is a member of the World Government CP organization. Having said that, Morgans paused slightly, thought for a while before continuing. As far as I know, the current development of the kingdom has been noticed by the world government. It's just that the kingdom can't penetrate it all, which has led to the fact that the world government has not taken any specific actions. If His Royal Highness wants to deal with world government, Stussy is a good breakthrough. His Royal Highness's ability is mysterious and unpredictable. If Stussy is used as a breakthrough, maybe it can also be reverse infiltrated into the world government. After listening to Morgan's words, EC fell into deep thought. EC really didn't expect that Morgans would have such an idea. This, even EC himself hadn't thought of. Originally, EC thought that Morgans simply wanted to trap the so-called underground kings of the dark world. Unexpectedly, the idea of Morgans turned out to be like this. In response, EC couldn't help but scrub his chin and gradually fell into thinking. The current underground king, Doflamingo, has yet to take shape, so he can talk about it later. However, the underground kings in other original works can be forcibly subdued. Stussy, who controls this sea of underground entertainment, is also a member of the World Government CPO organization. Stussy's title in the Dark World is Queen of the Pleasure District. Although she looks young, her actual age is very high. She masters the entertainment field of the Dark World, and most of the red light districts above the sea are her territory. In addition, there are 4 kings in other fields. The king of loan sharks, Feld, whose main business is loan sharking, is the master of currency circulation in the Dark World. Ocean King, Umit, master of the ocean transportation industry of New World, which also means that his influence spreads all over the world. The Hider, Kabosin, controls the storage of goods and the supply of goods. It can be seen that he has many rare treasures in his hands. Big Hand Undertaker, Picro, the manager of the killer field in the dark world with countless killers. These few, all of them are talents, and the things of the master in their hands are spread all over the sea. In this regard, EC's heart was slightly moved. It can be said that with the exception of Doflamingo, which is not yet ripe, the other fruits are already ready to be picked. P.S. In the original book, Doflamingo was also one of the underground emperors before he fell, and the master was the slave trader and the arms trader. 187 Return to the Kingdom. Deal with chores. Development direction. After thinking for a while, EC looked at Morgans. You have a great idea. Get them all together at the right moment. 55. It's too much trouble to come one by one. Hearing this, Morgans immediately understood what EC meant. Hey, Quack, don't worry, Your Highness. Your subordinates promised to find a perfect and foolproof moment. After EC took the advice, Morgan started calling himself his subordinates. In this regard, EC can't help but sigh in his heart that he is a person who can live such a nourishing life. This attitude of keeping abreast of current affairs can be said to make EC's heart very comfortable. Next, because Morgans completely surrendered and the rest of the people were also transformed into noble phantasms. The entire news agency headquarters island was completely surrendered to EC's feet in a short period of time. Since then, the World Economic News has changed its surname to Helios. After a brief assignment of Morgans, the Dawn sailed again. This time, Dawn did not continue to dangle in the sea. Its destination is the Kingdom of Helios. 7 days later, at the port of the royal family of Helios. 04 at this time, Dawn is docked here. At the pier, King Ilo and others have been waiting here for a long time. After EC disembarked, we briefly chatted with King Ilo and Queen Eliza. After that, the Kingdom of Ilo took Queen Eliza and others back to the palace to start the daily kingdom meeting. At the pier, EC looked at the others after watching King Ilo and others leave. 7. Sugar, Reiju Perona, Dylan, Avery, Mastiff, Orton Aldo, Monet, Robin, Brooke, Koshiro. At the pier, in addition to the people on the Dawn, there are also people who stayed in the kingdom. Looking at these people, a smile appeared on EC's face. These people are the pillars of the next kingdom. It has been more than a month since I returned to the kingdom. In the past month or so, King Ilo has resumed his leisure life with Queen Eliza. Up and down the kingdom, once again under the control of EC. This time, after EC came back, unless it was a special circumstance, EC did not plan to go to sea again. Within this month, EC first let the team of swordsmen who had been repaired fly to South Blue on the Dawn to find a magnetic fruit and Roger Saber Ace. Then, at the highest point in the center of Crown Island, placed the golden bell carried by the 9-tiered golden base there. From that day on, Crown Island was wrapped in an invisible barrier from the moment the bell rang. Next, EC also asked Kixi to use Lion Fruit's ability to relocate Morgan's news agency headquarters island to the waters of the kingdom's calm belt. Subsequently, the kingdom established 2 new departments. One is the Kingdom News Department led by Morgans, and the other is the Kingdom Swordsmanship Academy, where Koshiro is the director. The Ministry of Information of the Kingdom has the Kingdom newspaper internally and the Oceanic newspaper externally. Relying on the information from the original news agency all over the sea, it cooperates with the Kingdom's own intelligence department. It also makes the news of the Ministry of Information become more and more, the scope of which is more and more extensive. The Kingdom Swordsmanship Academy is an academy that EC hopes to have high-end combat power. Today, in addition to Kana and Zoro, the academy within the academy has several kendo geniuses who have emerged from the kingdom. Yagyu Jubiai, Ito Ikitosai, Himura Kenshin, Yajiro B, and Ishikawa Gomen. 5 kendo geniuses who stood out from all over the kingdom. Their talents are not inferior, even to Kana and Zoro. Although the Kingdom Swordsmanship Academy only has these 7 students, but from Koshiro's mouth, EC knows very well. If these 7 people grow up, then there will be 7 more swordsmen of the great swordsman level in the kingdom. With all these chores completed, EC's focus has been on the open expansion and development direction of the kingdom for the rest of the time. Through the world map, EC dispatched a large number of intelligence personnel to the East Blue through the Comm Belt. Under EC's plan, the next expansion of the kingdom is to expand towards the entire East Blue Sea area. Compared with the Four Seas, Grand Line is no matter if it is paradise in the first half or New World in the second half. The entire Grand Line is extremely small compared to any of the Four Seas. The Grand Line, in the final analysis, is nothing but a long and narrow round-the-world route. Compared with the Four Seas, the Grand Line is only a small part of the size of the area except for the changing weather, many strong people, and the distribution of treasures. Because of this, EC did not expand in the direction of the Grand Line in the early expansion plan of the kingdom. EC's eyes were set on the East Blue Sea area closest to the kingdom. As more and more islands are swallowed by Crown Island, under EC's instruction, a super long road linking Crown Island and the East Blue waters and crossing the entire Comm Belt is gradually being realized. As long as this road is formed, then it will not be so troublesome to take a boat from Crown Island to East Blue. It is entirely possible to build a garrison within the Comm Belt on the East Blue side. EC's ambition is very big, and the ultimate goal of EC's plan is to devour all the islands and land in the whole world by the Crown Island. Then, on the basis of Crown Island itself, create a real supercontinent. As the opening and expansion plan gradually unfolds secretly, EC has further handpicked key projects in the development direction of the kingdom. Now in 793, as the situation of the kingdom is gradually known to the sea, nowadays, people in the kingdom come to seek refuge every once in a while. Some of the people who came to the kingdom were civilians, some were businessmen, some were bounty hunters, some were scientists. As more and more people join the kingdom and become noble phantasm of life, and because the kingdom begins to enter the fast lane of development in a real sense. And as more and more scientists join the kingdom's scientific research department. Today, the kingdom's living technology can be said to have been greatly improved. On the whole, the entire kingdom, in EC's view, has gradually begun to develop towards the modernization of the previous life. Moreover, under the intentional guidance of EC, the entire kingdom's scientific research department is constantly developing towards the technology of the previous life. The technology in this world has never been low, but it has not been popularized. Today, with the full support of EC, technology throughout the kingdom has begun to spread. Life technology, electric lights, microwave ovens, refrigerators, stereos, TVs, signal towers, cables, elevators, trains, airships. Military technology, pistols, machine guns, rocket launchers and other weapons, warships, aircraft carriers, drones, aircraft, and other vehicles. With the full support and guidance of EC, life technology is changing with each passing day. The development of military technology has also entered the fast lane, and the entire scientific research department is now a busy department in the kingdom. 188 communication construction completed. World Monitoring Plan C Circle Calendar 1512. Unconsciously, EC has also been in the kingdom for almost a year. Over the past year, the bright development of the entire kingdom has shocked the entire pirate world. A large number of technical items are sold from the kingdom to all over the world. In the whole sea, at this moment, you can see various technological supplies from the kingdom everywhere. As early as half a year ago, EC directly and completely opened up the kingdom to the outside world. That day was the first day the kingdom opened to the outside world. In the days that followed, more and more people entered the kingdom. During this period, the complete appearance of the kingdom gradually entered the sight of everyone in the entire sea. At the behest of EC, Morgans of the Information Department secretly said some good things about the kingdom in the newspaper every time. It also made the kingdom of Helios gradually have some other names in the current sea. Country of swordsmen, country of technology, country of arms trade, country of shipping, country of joy. No one above this sea knows that EC has secretly subdued all the underground emperors. Even after subduing Stussy, Even the world government did not know that there were many more spies from the kingdom in the CP organization. More people just feel that so many industries can develop so well in the kingdom. The reason is because these underground emperors have good eyesight, and they immediately took a fancy to the premise of the development of the kingdom. Inside the Palace of Government Affairs, at this time, EC was sitting on the throne listening to the report of the Minister of Scientific Research. For almost a year, King Ilo has basically been a hands-off shopkeeper, and EC has always been in a semi-succession state. Basically, all national affairs are handled by EC himself. Fortunately, EC slightly changed the kingdom's civil service system. It doesn't take too much time for EC to handle the daily government affairs. The vast majority of the kingdom's government affairs were handled by the civil servants at one level after another. If the lower-level civil servants can't handle it, the middle-level civil servants will handle it. If the middle-level civil servants cannot handle it, the high-level civil servants will handle it. If the high-level civil servants can't handle it, the top-level civil servants will handle it. If the top-level civil servants can't handle it, EC will handle it himself. Because everyone has been completely transformed into the noble phantasm of life. For the people below, EC can be said to be extremely reassuring. After all, once transformed into a noble phantasm of life, it will gradually fall into complete loyalty to EC. At this time, EC had already finished dealing with today's government affairs. However, just as EC was about to leave the Hall of Government Affairs, the Minister of Scientific Research came here. After bowing to EC, the Minister of Scientific Research opened his mouth to report. His Royal Highness, the research and development of data satellites and network signals has been perfected. Hearing the words of the Minister of Scientific Research, EC couldn't help but startled slightly. Unexpectedly, things that I thought would take a few years were developed so much ahead of schedule. Didn't you say it would take some time? Hearing EC's doubts, the Minister of Scientific Research smiled slightly. His Royal Highness, this is because I borrowed some inspiration from the kingdom's signal base station and signal tower. Now, after our tests, the data satellite has been able to fully connect the latest mobile phones. The furthest point is that of East Blue, where Crown Island connects to the comm belt. 99 hearing this, EC's eyes suddenly lit up slightly. I didn't expect it to actually be developed, although I don't know what its principle looks like in this world. However, EC is not a scientist and is not interested in those things. EC was only interested in a result. Now that the results have come out, EC is of course extremely happy. The reason why EC is so concerned about mobile phones, not just because mobile phones make money for the kingdom. There are many ways to make money. Not to mention that since conquering the 6 underground kings in the dark world, the kingdom is no longer short of money. Even above the Crown Island at this time, there's this huge island floating in the sky. That island, but EC specially built it to become the kingdom's material storage island. The development of the kingdom does not consume much Bailey at all. After all, making money in the dark world can be said to be extremely profitable. A part of the money was secretly sent by EC to continuously purchase various materials in various parts of the sea, just to prepare for the declaration of war on the world government in the future. In addition to these 2 parts of the capital consumption, most of the rest are invested in the scientific research department. Therefore, the scientific research department can continuously develop new things without considering the consumption. The remaining funds will be invested in other places, such as military construction, people's livelihood construction, navigation construction. The reason why EC is so concerned about mobile phones. The root cause is a plan to monitor the world. The world of pirates is huge, especially since each sea area has only one island after another. As a result, no matter how well the intelligence department did, it would not be able to monitor the world. However, mobile phones are different. As long as the convenience of mobile phones is deeply rooted in the hearts of people all over the world, then the mobile phone after the noble phantasm is the best way to monitor the world. Long ago, EC might also sell mobile phones as a kingdom specialty. However, the current EC has added a monitoring network chip in addition to retaining this. A mobile phone produced in a kingdom contains all kinds of mobile phone parts. The most important thing is 3 chips. Solar charging chip. You don't have to be afraid of running out of electricity when you bask in the sun, and ensure the battery life of the mobile phone. The normal data chip is the chip used for various normal functions of the mobile phone. The monitoring network chip is a chip that collects voice intelligence secretly, centered on the mobile phone. Plus the fully integrated mobile phone after the Noble Phantasm and the setting that explodes after dismantling. A mobile phone is a portable monitoring tool. As long as the C is popularized, then the mobile phone, Zhao Inoheo, is the best monitoring device. A convenient and easy-to-use mobile phone, based on the experience of EC's previous life, will definitely be welcomed by the people of the pirate world. Afterwards, EC followed the Minister of Scientific Research to the place where the Scientific Research Department data team was located. After confirming that it was correct, EC directly transformed this huge data satellite into Noble Phantasm. Moreover, this satellite was launched into outer space on the same day as the comm belt. Subsequently, EC set up a factory for the production of mobile phones and chips. At the end of the factory assembly line, set up a permanent Wangjikai baby furniture transformation space. The solar-charged mobile phone enters the treasure of the king and is automatically converted into a treasure. And EC, the mobile phone in his hand, is a mobile phone treasure to control the data satellite. As long as EC wants to, he can listen to other people's conversations on his own mobile phone. And as long as the EC phone has an update, you can choose to synchronize the update to all phones. 189. The arrival of Jinbei. The situation of the Fishmen Island just when EC was busy with a mobile phone world surveillance program. At this time, Perona's figure swayed through the wall of the Scientific Research Department. Your Highness, coming to EC, Perona called out softly. Hearing this, EC, who was holding his mobile phone Noble Phantasm in deep thought, couldn't help but froze for a moment. Is something wrong? Perona? 35 Perona nodded lightly, propping up her little flower umbrella. Today's Perona doesn't maintain her smoky makeup like the original. At this moment, her small face, which was wearing light makeup, was full of white and reddish expressions, which showed that Perona was living a very nourishing life in the kingdom. The ponytails swayed slightly. Perona said softly, His Royal Highness, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Jinbei, the seaman of the Fishman Island, asked to see you. Oh! Hearing Perona's words, EC frowned slightly. Shichibukai came to see me? 99 this year, Jinbei, the sea hero, has become the 7 warlords of the sea, just like in his previous life. However, what EC didn't know was that the kingdom was heavily guarded. Jinbei came a long time ago, but there was no way to get close to EC. In addition, after returning to the kingdom, EC is very busy. Even if someone reports it, EC will subconsciously forget it. As a last resort, Jinbei 793 had no choice but to make a name for himself and then join the 7 warlords of the sea. I just wanted to meet him as 7 warlords of the sea. Since being sent here by Otoji, Jinbei has been watching the changes in the kingdom. Every day seems to be a little more changed than the day before. Look at the harmony and love of the people in the kingdom. Unite and help each other. Watching the strength in the kingdom continue to improve, it is extremely powerful. Jinbei also hoped that the Fishman Island can become the same as the kingdom of Helios. Although the sensor pearls that Otoji gave had a distance limit, Jinbei didn't know whether EC was the one that Otoji felt. However, looking at the joy in the kingdom, there are people who love unity. Jinbei knew, although the current king of the kingdom is only represented by EC. However, EC is definitely going to be a great king in the future. If the Fishman Island can establish diplomatic relations with the kingdom of Helios, maybe Princess Otoheim's dream can really come true. Let the mermaids and fish people of the Fishman Island walk freely under the sun and on the land. Where is Jinbei? Leaving the Scientific Research Department, EC asked Perona, who was floating in midair. Facing the temple. Hearing this, Perona directly said Jinbei's location. Nodding, EC took Perona towards the temple. Soon, when EC came to the temple, Jinbei, who had been waiting here, was shocked, because at that moment, the induction pearl hidden in Jinbei's pocket radiated a burst of light after EC came to the main hall. Then, after the light dissipated, the induction pearl turned into an ordinary pearl and nested in Jinbei's pocket. At this moment, Jinbei quickly stood up and gave EC a salute. "See, Your Highness." Nodding lightly, EC walked into the hall and sat in the most central seat. "Hi, Xia Jinbei. You came to me for other things, right? After all, my kingdom and I have nothing to do with you." Speaking of this, EC couldn't help but think of the evil dragon gang killed by his subordinates. Immediately, he realized that what he said seemed a little wrong. However, EC didn't say anything more about this, but directly changed the subject and said, "Let me guess, you don't have anything to look for me personally." In other words, Neptune and Odoheim sent you here. 39 fingers tapped lightly on the armrest of the seat beside. EC looked at Jinbei quietly. At this time, Jinbei's face also showed surprise. However, considering the current situation of himself and the Fishman Island, Jinbei nodded heavily and said, "His Royal Highness guessed right. It was indeed His Majesty Neptune and Princess Odohi who asked me to come aid. His Royal Highness should know about the Fishman Island." Hearing this, EC nodded knowingly. EC is still very clear about the situation of the Fishman Island. The Fishman Island doesn't have any strong strength itself, except for Jinbei. Even if the Whitebeard pirates can shelter, it is just an external force. The Fishman Island itself is not strong. The weak strength, coupled with the beauty and rarity of the mermaid, make the mermaid on the Fishman Island a hunting target on the sea. Mermaid slaves, even if they are average in appearance, can buy a high price. Not to mention, if it is a beautiful mermaid slave, it can be sold for a sky-high price. In addition, the mermaid of the Fishman Island is not infinite, so above the sea, mermaid slaves are a scarce resource. Therefore, on the Fishman Island, there are always slave traders peeping in secret. In addition, the Fishman Island is 10,000 meters under the sea and has some special and rare resources and delicacies. These things also make the Fishman Island a big cake in the eyes of many forces. It can be said that the situation of the Fishman Island is now the worst. If it weren't for the natural protection of being located 10,000 meters under the sea. Otherwise, the Fishman Island would have long since ceased to exist. Don't say anything about the protection of the Whitebeard pirates. That shelter, at most, can only deter pirates who want to enter the New World. If the Fishman Island is really unobstructed, not to mention a Whitebeard pirate group, even the Four Emperors pirate group together are useless. Human greed is endless. Even a powerful pirate group shelter is still useless. The sea is so big. Can the forces of the Four Emperors spread all over the sea? The answer is definitely no. Besides, if the celestial dragons are going to force the merfolk, will Whitebeard dare to resist? Will the Murlocs and mermen of the Fishman Island dare to resist? In the final analysis, it is also because the location of the Fishman Island is 10,000 meters under the sea. This position is a natural protective barrier. Although now, I often encounter pirates and slave traders watching. However, this is already the best situation for the Fishman Island. In the absence of strong force, it is already very good to be able to maintain the overall security of the Fishman Island. His Royal Highness, I came here this time with instructions from King Neptune and Princess Odoheim. The Fishman Island. I hope to establish diplomatic relations with your country. Just when EC was thinking about the situation of the Fishman Island, Jinbei's voice also rang out again. And the content of these two sentences really made EC's eyes narrow. 190 EC's plan for the Fishman Island. EC looked at Jinbei in front of him and couldn't help but guess. I never thought that the Fishman Island would think of establishing diplomatic relations with the Kingdom of Helios, which is a non-joined country. This is something that did not appear in the original book. However, there is no such person in the original work, so this is not surprising. Now it seems, because of myself, this butterfly sake, it also made some dramatic changes in the plot. However, although EC was curious about the mermaid, he even wanted to take down Shirahoshi. However, The Fishmen Island has the same fish people as Jinbei. As for the fish people, most of them hated human beings. Counting the time, Odoheim was assassinated in 1512, in C Circle Calendar 1512 in the original book. In this way, if the Fishmen Island establishes diplomatic relations with the kingdom, those fishmen will definitely take the lead in destroying it. Although those murlocs are a bunch of garbage that EC can easily handle. But EC still has to consider the option of the Fishmen Island. It's okay to establish diplomatic relations, but as far as I know, there are many fishmen who hate the same humans on the Fishmen Island. Looking at Jinbei, EC touched his chin and said, "Can you guarantee that those murlocs won't cause trouble when the contract for establishing diplomatic relations is signed?" Looking at Jinbei with a dignified face, EC paused slightly and continued to speak. "I know what you and your King Neptune and Princess Odoheim think, but even if you want to find another home, you have to promise one thing. Is the Fishmen Island really all people want to find a peaceful home?" Hearing EC's words, Jinbei's face darkened slightly, because he remembered the fishmen in the Fishman Street. Although Jinbei is also from Fishman Street, he was influenced by Tiger. That's why Jinbei's character is much more rational than that of Fishman Street. Because of this, Jinbei knew very well that the murlocs in the Fishman Street had already entered a state of extreme hatred. Thinking of this now, Jinbei feels like he has nothing to say. EC looked at Jinbei's expression and immediately knew what he was thinking. In response, EC smiled lightly and spoke again. "It is possible to establish diplomatic relations. 95, I can even designate an area in my kingdom for mermaids and murlocs to live. I don't have any pathological prejudice against mermen or murlocs. 35. In my opinion, a life with complete intelligence, whether it is a human or a murloc, a merman, a fur tribe, or any other race. In my eyes, all living beings are equal. Everyone has the right to live freely in the sun. Therefore, the slave trade is completely prohibited in the kingdom of Helios. What I can guarantee is that anyone who lives in the kingdom will be treated relatively fairly. 99. There is no absolute fairness in this world. After all, everyone has various differences. But, at least under my rule, my people can be treated relatively fairly. The Fishmen Island is 10,000 meters deep, but you yourself know that it is not safe even there. Otherwise, there would not be so many people coveting mermen. In addition, the Fishmen Island does not have absolute strength as a deterrent, so it will be banned repeatedly. It is not the same in the kingdom of Helios. 39. In general, you are also very clear about the current situation of the kingdom. After all, as one of the 7 warlords of the sea, you must have your own channels of information. It's just that the kingdom can establish diplomatic relations with the Fishmen Island and even welcome the fishmen and mermaids from the Fishmen Island to migrate here. But it's all on the premise that it's not the extreme racists and human haters who have migrated here. After speaking, EC was not talking. Instead, he looked at Jinbei quietly, waiting for Jinbei's own reply. Jinbei has no right to decide such a big matter. However, there are still preliminary suggestions, so the pros and cons and what you want have been said. Now it's time for Jinbei to figure it out for himself. As the number 1 player of the Fishmen Island today, Jinbei can also be said to be the number 3 player of the Fishmen Island. Soon, Jinbei, who had already made up his mind, bowed to EC and gave a big gift. "Please rest assured, Your Highness, I will definitely handle those murlocs. I'll go back and tell Princess Odoheim and King Neptune. 5. I also hope to give the Fishmen Island some time. At that time, Princess Odoheim and King Neptune will definitely come over to sign a contract with His Royal Highness." 0. As for Flower Zero hearing this, EC nodded lightly. "It doesn't matter, there's no rush about it. 35, after all, it must be the Fishmen Island who should be anxious, because it is they who want to establish diplomatic relations with the kingdom. By the way, do you need support? After all, there are still quite a few murlocs with extreme thoughts on the Fishmen Island." Hearing EC's words, Jinbei couldn't help but be silent for a while, but finally agreed with difficulty. "Then, trouble, Your Highness. After all, there are not many troops on the Fishmen Island, and their strength is not strong. If the people of Fishman Street really want a rebel, Jinbei himself cannot completely guarantee the safety of King Neptune and Princess Odoheim. And the last daughter of Princess Odoheim, that special daughter thinking of this, Jinbei could only helplessly agree to EC's assistance. In response, EC smiled lightly and didn't say much. Turning his head, he instructed Perona to let the Apocalypse Legion send some people as an aid team to return to the Fishman Island with Jinbei. As for the Fishman Island, EC stopped paying attention to it after Jinbei left with a part of the Apocalypse core team. The current EC is not the EC who just went to sea before. Now EC has the confidence to be able to resist Odoheim's special observation Haki. So, for the Fishman Island, EC is still very welcome. After all, Shirahoshi is a good girl. Plus, there are so many beautiful mermaids. It can not only enrich the race of the kingdom, but also allow the people of the kingdom to intermarry with it. Mermaids have some peculiar abilities. For example, some ability to control water currents, some ability to communicate with marine fish. EC is still very interested in other races in the pirate world. Therefore, EC also imagines Charlotte Lean's universal. Get a country with all kinds of races out. Mermaids, Murlocs, Furs, Foot-Long Clan, Longhand Clan, Snakehead Clan, Three-Eyed Clan, Giant Clan, Villain Clan, Ghosts, Sky Island Angels, Lunalia. Speaking of which, there are still quite a lot of races in the pirate world. 191, the Swordsman Squad returning from South Blue 7 days later, when EC started promoting and ordering the sale of mobile phones. The Dawn and Swordsman Squad, who had been going to South Blue for a year, finally returned to the kingdom. At this moment, in the port of the kingdom, a large number of merchant ships from all over the world are docking in the various ports of the kingdom. Since the kingdom's promotion of mobile phones, EC instructed Morgans to report and use mobile phones in the World Economic News Agency. In just a few days, under the continuous bombardment of news and newspapers, the whole scene knew about something called a mobile phone. Such a small golden rectangular box can make ultra-long distance calls, text messages, and videos. Not only that, in the newspapers and the kingdom's foreign propaganda, it also specifically explained that new features will be added to the phone in the future. For example, the sea navigation map, the sea weather forecast, the 793 forum on the sea, the Sea News Report, all of them make everyone in the world in Grand Line curious. Whether it is marine, pirate, or ordinary civilians, they all have a strong curiosity about this cross-age item. The most important thing is that the price is super affordable. Even a small civilian can do one for everyone. Inside the palace, EC did not pay any attention to the impact of the birth of the mobile phone on the sea, because EC knows very well that in this world, a brand new, convenient, easy-to-use, and cheap thing appears. Anyone is curious about something. And because of curiosity and affordable price, many people will get started with a mobile phone. In this way, after those who have mobile phones find the convenience and usefulness of mobile phones, you will gradually develop a sense of dependence on your mobile phone. And in your daily life, you will definitely subconsciously act on the people around you. In this way, 1 past 10, 10 past 100, 100 past 1,000, 1,000 past thousands is passed round and round. And in the end, everyone will become very dependent on mobile phones. By then, EC was slowly updating some apps to everyone's phones. When the vast majority of people are inseparable from their mobile phones, the World Monitoring Plan is officially completed. Today, mobile phones are in their infancy. At this time, EC was listening to the mission report of Brooke and other members of the Swordsman Squad in the palace. "See, Your Highness." Entering the palace, Brooke and other members of the Swordsman Squad gave EC a salute. At the same time, the 4 girls, Monet, Sugar, Reiju, and Perona on the side, each presented a tray. 3 devil fruits and a long knife are placed on each of the 4 trays. "Your Highness, the mission this time has been successfully completed. A total of 3 devil fruits were harvested, namely, magnetic fruit, locked fruit, and explosive fruit. Besides, we also found Roger's saber, ace at the tomb of the original Port Gasti, Rouge on Batarilla Island." EC listened to Brooke's report and put his eyes on the 4 trays. Then put 3 devil fruits and ace knives into the king's treasure. EC nodded lightly to Brooke and the others. Well done. Next, you can rest for a while. 99. After all, I've been running back and forth for a year, and I really need a good rest. Besides, your reward will arrive at your abode today. 9. Hearing this, everyone in the Jinhao squad immediately became happy. Thank you, Your Highness. After bowing respectfully to EC, everyone retreated. Inside the palace, EC reappeared the 3 devil fruits and ace swords that had been transformed into noble phantasms. Noble phantasm, ace knife, type. Active noble phantasm, type. Inherent noble phantasm, liberation. God avoiding swordsmanship. Conqueror's Haki winding skills, noble phantasm. Magnetic fruit, type. Active noble phantasm, type. Consuming noble phantasm, liberation. After eating, you can gain the ability to control the magnetic force. In addition, you can rely on the ability to radiate electromagnetic waves to enhance the perception range and distance of observation Haki. Noble phantasm, lock the fruit, type. Active noble phantasm, type. Consuming noble phantasm, liberation. After eating, you can lock it wherever you see it, and the locked enemy will be sensed no matter where you are. Noble phantasm, exploding fruit, type. Active noble phantasm, type. Consuming noble phantasm, liberation. After eating, any part of the body can explode. Blowing air from the mouth can also be used as an explosive and can also control other substances to explode. Is not afraid of bombs. Even if the bomb is eaten in the mouth, it will not be damaged. 0. Looking at the light curtain message in front of him, EC's face showed a look of joy. Immediately afterwards, EC ate all the 3 devil fruits without any hesitation. As for the ace knife, it was placed in the treasure of the king, and at that time, Kixi would enter the treasure of the king to take it. The king's treasure personal information king. Helios EC combat strength. SSS plus physical. SSS plus absolute defense. Overspeed self-healing abilities. Extreme God Ujianyu. Advanced Conqueror's Haki. Top 2 color Haki. Thunder fruit. Strong fruit. Maramara fruit. Magnetic fruit. Locked fruit. Explosive fruit. Looking at his personal information, EC couldn't help being shocked. Now, most of the desired fruit abilities are already available. Next, everything was in place. Only Vinsmoke's laser cannon was in place. Reiju, how's the progress on the Vinsmoke side? Sitting on the throne, EC thought for a while before asking Reiju a question. Hearing this, Reiju pondered for a while and replied, His Royal Highness, more than 100 laser cannons have been built. 0.3 inch because it was just starting, the speed of building will be a little slow. However, it is now because of sufficient experience. The construction of laser cannons has begun to speed up. According to my father, the Sea Circle Calendar 1514 is absolutely capable of fulfilling the quantity required by His Royal Highness. Hearing this, EC lightly nodded his head. However, EC quickly told Reiju as if he had thought of something. By the way, notify Judge and the others. Let them begin to secretly migrate to the kingdom. Next, the kingdom will fully develop its interior. 35. Taking advantage of this period of time, we can just divide into the kingdom. Also, since you've been by my side for so long, I believe the world government should also try Vinsmoke. Hearing EC's words, Reiju responded lightly. 192. The decision of Princess Odoheim, on the other hand, just when the kingdom was in full swing with the construction and opening up. At this point, Jinbei had returned to the Fishmen Island with the Apocalypse Legion team, led by Aldo. The Fishmen Island is located 10,000 meters under the Sea of Mariehua, the Holy Land. It is the only place to arrive at the New World, and it is also the birthplace of most Murlocs and Mermen. Also known as the Underwater Paradise, it is a fantastic paradise. The average population on the Fishmen Island is maintained at about 5 million. At this time, within Ryugu Castle, Neptune and Otoji, who received the news, had already met Jinbei in the main hall. As for Aldo's people, they were not here, but ate the Fishmen Island food in the banquet hall. The mission of Aldo and his party this time was not some sort of surveillance mission. Their task is to know the definitive answer to the Fishmen Island, and then inform EC of the answer. By the way, if the Fishman Island really wants to establish diplomatic relations, then when the extreme Fishmen rebel, Aldo and others will provide military support. Therefore, under the reception of the ministers on the left and right of Ryugu Castle, Aldo and others enjoyed the delicious food here with peace of mind. Dragon Palace City Hall. At this time, Neptune and Otoji are listening to Jinbei's Report 04. Princess Otoji, the one that since the pearl sensed was the current Highness EC. When His Royal Highness EC was close to me, the sensor pearl emitted a strong light. However, shortly after the strong light was emitted, the induction pearl was immersed. As Jinbei spoke, he took out the sensory pearl that had lost its luster at that moment from his pocket. Otoji took the pearl and stroked it gently. It seems that what I sensed that time should be His Highness EC. Speaking of this, Otoji couldn't help but sound the various cognitions she felt that day. By the way, Jinbei, what did His Highness EC say? Seeing Otoji falling into contemplation, Neptune took over the words. Jinbei didn't feel anything about the name Neptune said. After all, EC's strength is strong, and strengthening the kingdom of Helios is strong. Therefore, even if EC is still just a prince, the suffix of His Royal Highness should be added to his private address. This is the meaning of subconscious, brought about by power. Your Majesty, His Highness EC is willing to establish diplomatic relations with us, the Fishman Island. Hearing Neptune's question, Jinbei quickly answered. Hearing this, both Neptune and Otoji, who was contemplating, looked overjoyed. However, Jinbei's words were not finished safely. But there is one thing that His Highness EC is not very fond of. Furman Street. Without waiting for Neptune and Otoji to ask, Jinbei continued to speak. Those murlocs with extremism. Having said this, Jinbei did not continue to speak, because both Neptune and Otoheim knew exactly what this meant. Is that so? Neptune sighed softly. He also knew the extremist fishmen in Fishman Street. Neptune has always wanted to manage Fishman Street. However, those murlocs in Fishman Street have been resisting all the time. In addition, the strength of the Fishman Island soldiers is not strong, so this matter is just put there. Now, after hearing Jinbei's words, a look of regret flashed across Neptune's heart. Neptune regretted why he did not use other forces to suppress the Fishman Street at that time. Then, because of the Fisherman Street, it is now in such a situation. On the side, Otoji's eyes flashed again and again, but there was still a firm light. Let me try it. Hearing Otoji's words, Neptune and Jinbei were shocked. Let me try to convince me. Looking at the expressions of the two, Otoji's expression was still very firm. No, Princess Otoheim. Fishman Street is dangerous. 35 Neptune knew about Otoheim's thoughts, so he just looked at Otoheim with a complicated expression. Jinbei, on the other hand, expressed strong disapproval. Jinbei knows very well that there are many murlocs who don't like Otoji in the Fishman Street because of the autograph activities that Otoheim did, or the reception of human beings, and so on. Let the extremist fish people in Fishman Street be extremely angry. For Jinbei's objection, Otoheim just waved her hand gently. How can we understand each other if we can't communicate face to face? 99, I don't want to see merfolk and murlocs kill each other on the Fishman Island. 99, hearing this, Jinbei's whole body was shocked. His mouth opened slightly, but he didn't say anything. The next day, Otoji went to Fishman Street under the protection of Jinbei and a kind of Dragon Palace guard. At the same time, Aldo and others who got the news hid early on around Fishman Street. After all, Otoji met Aldo in person yesterday and also made it clear that the Fishman Island really wanted to establish diplomatic relations with the kingdom. Therefore, Aldo and others also obeyed EC's orders for Otoji, who gave a clear attitude. Protection and military support will be provided to those who sincerely establish diplomatic relations. Fishman Street, a large place for orphans. Unfortunately, because of the incompetence of the management of Fishman Street has become a gathering place for illegal groups. Here, fights can be seen everywhere, and most murlocs have a series of vicious expressions. At this time, he walked into the Fishman Street with Otoji. Immediately, all the fishmen in the Fishman Street who saw Otoji showed a dangerous look. Coming to a wide square, Otoji couldn't help showing a sunny smile as she watched the vicious fish people who were gathering gradually. Everyone, I'm Otoheim. 35, the Fishman Island has been in the deep sea for too long. 4 generations. The creatures on the Fishman Island have wanted to really get in touch with the sun. I did everything possible to do this. Now, there's a bright path before our eyes. Coming here, after seeing more and more Murlocs, Otoheim began to give speeches to her heart's content. At the same time, Otoheim was giving a speech at the Fishman Street Plaza. A Murloc came to a hut deep in the Murloc Street. Boss Jones! Boss Jones! Pushing them away, a great white shark man with long black curly hair was imprinted into the Murloc's eyes. Boss Jones, Princess Otohi is coming to our Fishman Street to give a speech. Boom. Hearing this, Hody Jones smashed the table in front of him with a punch. The whole person stood up, exuding a vicious intent. Damn it. How dare you come to Fishman Street to speak about those nonsense content? For Otoheim, Hody Jones has been very unpleasant for a long time. Even the idea of killing Otoheim secretly sprouted in Hody Jones' heart. Now, after hearing the words of his Murloc brother, that thought, like a weed, began to grow wildly. 193 assassination in Fishman Street, standing in the dark house. The vicious aura of Hody Jones was constantly surging. At this moment, a crazy plan was formed in the mind of Hody Jones with a scarlet light in his eyes. However, Hody Jones didn't say anything to this little fisherman about his plan. After all, the plan was crazy for the locals on the Fishman Island. Even the most extreme Murlocs would hesitate after knowing this plan. Therefore, Hody Jones himself did not intend to say so. You go and inform others and surround the location where Princess Otoheim and others are. This time, we must let Princess E.G. give us justice. Hody Jones's eyes flashed slightly, and he gave an order to the Murloc brother beside him. Hearing that, although the Fishman brother didn't know why, he still obeyed Hody Jones's orders. So the Murloc brother hurriedly turned around to inform the other Murlocs in the Murloc Street. At this time, Hody Jones in the house watched the back of the little fishman disappear. Then he bent down and pulled out a sniper rifle from under the table. Click, click, click. Click, simply check the body of the sniper rifle. Then, put the bullets one by one into the magazine. Finally, the magazine is inserted into the sniper rifle. Looking at the sniper rifle reflecting the shimmering light under a little halo, the corners of Hody Jones' mouth could not help but gradually grin. On the other hand, Otoheim, who was giving a speech in Fishman Street Plaza. At this time, it was found that more and more Murlocs were gathering from all directions. When Otoji saw this scene, she felt delighted that the fishmen in the Fishman Street gradually accepted their words. However, Aldo and others who have been hiding in the dark are gradually becoming vigilant. Around the square, more and more Murlocs began to form a circle to surround Otoheim and others. At this time, even Jinbei and the many soldiers of the Dragon Palace felt a little bit of something wrong. It was because the Murlocs who had gathered had a calm expression. This kind of eerie calm makes the surroundings seem quiet, and there is no atmosphere of participating in the speech. At this time, I saw more and more fish people gathered. Otoheim's speech also seemed more and more passionate. Everyone, I believe you have seen it too. On the Fishman Island, even some sun trees, Eve, can only feel the light. 35, we're not looking directly at the sun. What a wonderful thing it would be for us, our children, and our next generation to be able to bask in the sun. Look at those children who haven't seen the real sun and moon and the stars in the sky since they were born. However, when we establish diplomatic relations with the Kingdom of Helios, we can live on land. The sun, the moon, the stars, the grass, the forest. These are all things that the children have never seen before. 99 now, you can feel it close at hand. Why don't we take the initiative? Think of the expectations in the eyes of children. Otoheim's speech continues. It's just a kilometer away from Fishman Street Square. The figure of Hody Jones is quietly hiding in a corner. The shiny sniper rifle in his hand was firmly supported by Hody Jones on the shield in front of him. Don't wonder why Hody Jones' sniper rifle can shoot so far. Q is the black technology of the pirate world. The muzzle of the gun was silently aimed at Odoheim, who was giving a speech. Hody Jones couldn't help showing a cruel smile when he looked at the corners of Adagi's mouth. Originally, Hody Jones did not intend to do it himself. What he thought was to arrange for a human to kill Odoheim, and then kill the human himself to gain the support of the Fishmen Island. However, at this time, there's still no scapegoat for a while. Therefore, Hody Jones finally thought about it and decided to do it himself. But Hody Jones, in order to ensure his own safety, or choose to snipe from kilometers away. In a short period of time, Hody Jones thought out the escape route after the sniper. Behind Hody Jones at this time, there are several roads that crisscross and cross in all directions. After the shooting, Hody Jones will leave here. At that time, even other people will not be able to find him at all. After all, such a complicated road will definitely be indistinguishable for a while. After confirming his safety, Hody Jones slowly took out a button from himself. Then, he gently pressed down on the button. For a while, the fish people who were just watching Otoji's speech quietly in the square felt the vibration in their arms instantly. That was the signal that Hody Jones had prepared before. Now that the signal is together, many fish people look at each other and they riot in an instant. Murlocs are supreme. Long live Murlocs! Sinful Odoheim, don't think about interfering with our thinking. The Fishmen Island is getting weaker and weaker because of the indecisive royal family like you. Noble Murlocs never make peace with humble humans. Noble Murlocs disdain sunlight. Noble Murlocs disdain the forest. Noble Murlocs disdain grasslands. 99. Noble Murlocs reign supreme. While Odoheim was still struggling to give a speech, in an instant, the surrounding fish people shouted slogans loudly and began to attack the fence composed of the soldiers of the Dragon Palace. No, you can't do this. How can this be? Why? Why is this? No, you don't. No. 99 Odoheim stood in the center, watching the fish people who were constantly pounding the wall of soldiers of Ryugyangshi, Zhao and Aheo. Tears in his eyes kept falling to the ground, and his hands were constantly waving to stop the attack of the fish people. Meanwhile, just after the Murlocs fell into a riot, Aldo and the others, who were originally hidden in the dark, were instantly shaken. Everyone is like a cheetah hiding in the dark, ready to rush out at any time. On another occasion, Hody Jones was overjoyed when he saw this scene. Put your finger on the trigger of the sniper rifle and slowly and gradually begin to exert force. The sniper rifle was aimed at Odoheim, who was still crying, and a morbid smile appeared on Hody Jones' face. Murloc, supreme. 39 boom. The murmur fell, and a gunshot sounded, instantly alarming the entire Fishman Street Square. At the same time, Jinbei's body, who was not far from Otoji, shook violently. There was no time for Adaji to leave, and his body subconsciously rushed towards Adaji's front. 194 the wounded Jinbei, the dead Hody Jones puff. A blood flower bloomed on Jinbei's chest. Jinbei! Exclamations sounded. Otoji quickly walked in front of Jinbei with a terrified look on her face. He picked up the handkerchief with both hands and tightly covered Jinbei's wound. Why? Why is this? 35 Boss Jinbei. Damn! Quick, quick! Quickly fire the flare. Block. Block these people for me. Seeing Jinbei drop a bullet for Atsuki, the soldiers around Ryugu Castle became nervous. Under the command of a captain, everyone is constantly persevering. And at this moment, the moment Jinbei was shot, the members of the Apocalypse team, hidden in the dark, immediately began to act. The four people rushed into the square from the four directions of the square. Along the way, all the Murlocs fell to the ground in pain under the hands of the four people. On the other side, Aldo led the rest of the squad and rushed towards Hody Jones's position quickly. SHHH, followed by one after another rapidly flashing figures, continued to move forward. Hody Jones, who had planned to fire another shot, immediately threw away the 793 sniper rifle in his hand after discovering this scene. The whole person turned around in an instant and rushed towards the back road that was already prepared. Bone and Bone Fruit, finger-piercing, 35 at this time, after seeing that Hody Jones wanted to escape. Aldo, headed by him, instantly stretched out his 10 fingers in the direction of Hody Jones. Puff, 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 puff. Immediately afterwards, a phalanx flew towards Hody Jones as if it had turned into a bullet at this moment. The phalanx galloped, piercing through Hody Jones' limbs in an instant. Bang for a while, Hody Jones, who had serious limbs on his hands, fell directly to the ground during the run. A scream came from Hody Jones' mouth. It's just that because of the limbs being abolished, Hody Jones is completely unable to move again. A look of panic filled his eyes, and at this moment, Hody Jones felt regret for the first time in his heart. I didn't expect that I was so well prepared, and I even prepared the way back. However, now it has been directly turned into a waste person remotely. Soon, Aldo came to Hody Jones's side. Watching Hody Jones screaming, and bleeding from his limbs, a cold light flashed in Aldo's eyes. You actually dared to assassinate. If it weren't for this special event, I would have killed you long ago. After speaking, Aldo drew a knife from behind him. Afterwards, several knife lights flashed toward Hody Jones, who had no resistance. What? It was followed by several louder and more tragic screams. I saw that Hody Jones' limbs were directly cut off by Aldo's long knife. Afterwards, Aldo ordered someone to stop the bleeding at Hody Jones at will, and then took the murloc stick with a rope and took it back to the square. At this time, in the square of Fishman Street, the 4 members of the Apocalypse team who stayed here have beaten all the rioting fishmen to the ground. For these murlocs, the 4 members of the Apocalypse team have no idea of keeping their hands. If it weren't for the urgency of time, there might be murloc corpses everywhere. Soon, just when Aldo returned here with Hody Jones, the murloc stick. A large number of footsteps came from outside Fishman Street. Immediately afterwards, a large number of Poseidon's army rushed into the Fishman Street under the leadership of Neptune. Then, under the constant command of the 3 princes, the entire Fishman Street entered a situation of supervision and blockade. Jinbei, hurry up, Jinbei, and take a look. After handing over Poseidon's army to Shark Star, King Star, and Rover Star, Neptune took the Imperial Doctor to the place where E.G. and Jinbei were. Under the treatment of the Imperial physicians, the bullets in Jinbei's body were quickly taken out. Then, Jinbei slowly stood up with his strong constitution and the special medicine of the Imperial Doctor. At this time, Aldo also came to the crowd with the murloc stick. Hody Jones. Your Majesty Neptune, this is the murderer. Hearing this, Neptune, Otoji, and others looked at Hody Jones. Hody Jones, cough, cough, cough. Seeing this face, Jinbei was shocked. Even because the mood fluctuated too much, it also affected Jinbei's body wound, which made Jinbei cough lightly. Be careful to touch the wound. Aside, the Imperial Doctor, who had not left, suddenly became nervous. In response, Jinbei just waved his hand and ignored the Imperial Doctor, but came to Hody Jones. Looking at the murloc stick in front of him, a complicated expression appeared on Jinbei's face. Although he knew that Hody Jones hated humans, even Jinbei knew that Hody Jones hated Otoheim, who always wanted an autograph, because of it. However, Jinbei never imagined that Hody Jones would directly want to assassinate Otoji. If it wasn't for me who happened to be there, I'm afraid that Otoji would have already died at the hands of Hody Jones. Why? Looking at the murloc stick in front of him, Jinbei's voice was a little low. Hearing this, Hody Jones, who had been screaming in a low voice, slowly raised his head. Ha 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 ha! Why? There are so many whys. The Fishmen are supreme, and it is because of this cowardly royal family that the Fishmen Island has become what it is now. So, I want to kill the Virgin Otoji, and I also want to kill the unworthy king of Neptune. 99. However, it is now clear that I lost. But, Jinbei, my will not lose. 99. You are the leaves in the sun, and I am the root in the darkness. My will, the root's will never cease to exist. As long as the street of the Fishmen is still alive, my will live on forever. The fire of the will continue to light up Murloc Street, and the new will sprout. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. What? Amid the laughter and screams of pain, Hody Jones lost his breath when he tilted his head. Listening to Hody Jones's words, Neptune and others' faces were abnormally ugly. I never thought that such brainwashed thoughts would exist in Fishman Street. At this moment, Otoji snuggled up beside Neptune, and tears flowed silently. I have done so many things for the Fishman Island. Why can't I understand? Thinking of this, Otoji felt sadness. Shark Star. After seeing Hody Jones dying, Neptune immediately shouted to his eldest son. Hearing this, Shark quickly put down his work and ran over.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.